Our first witness is
Good good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Public Service Commission of South Carolina's uh, virtual public hearing in docket number 2022-29-E, Dominion Energy of South Carolina Incorporated's Solar Choice Metering Tariff. Before we begin this hearing, join me in a brief moment of silence. All right, let's take a roll. Here in the hearing room, we have Commissioner Caston, Vice Chair Belzer, and Chair Williams. Here, joining us virtually, we have Commissioners Powers, Williams, and Thomas. All right. There are a few preliminary matters we need to address before we get started. Now, we originally had a break scheduled from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And it's my understanding that the parties have agreed to shorten that break from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Is that correct? Applicant? Dominion Energy?
Mr. Chairman, Matt Gissner on behalf of Dominion Energy. Dominion Energy did indicate that it had no objection to the request by the commission staff last night.
Okay. Solar interveners?
Mr. Chairman, Taylor Spear for Alder Energy, no objection. I will have Attorney Robert Mangum sit in for me just to cover something quickly, but that will not interfere with the hearing. Thank you.
Attorney Mixon?
Mr. Chairman, say CCL and Upstate Forever had no objection to that request either.
Attorney Ledford? Attorney Ledford?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I don't believe Mr. Ledford's on the line currently, but neither SIA nor NCSEA had an objection to that.
All right. Attorney Durant?
Has no objection, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Frank Knapp, Jr.? Okay. Attorney Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jeff Nelson for OS. OS has no objection.
All right, so be advised that we are going from our first witness to 1 p.m. today. Just as another preliminary matter, we have 259 witnesses scheduled to testify. So we're going to be pretty strict about the 3-minute limit on testimony. We have a pretty streamlined process, and I want to take this time to recognize the Public Service Commission staff. We have 4 live stream technicians in the back sitting in front of about 10 monitors. We have our public affairs director along with one of his support staff calling the witnesses. And we have 3 staff members on the phone line, not to mention our security and our court reporter. We're taking virtual testimony, and we are set up to safely hear live testimony from those who decided to come in and testify in person. This has been a great effort by the PSC to make sure that anyone who wants to testify regarding this issue has the opportunity to do so. And I want everyone to know that we wouldn't be able to do this without our hardworking staff. So I just want to thank and recognize the staff. All right, without further ado, if there's nothing else before we proceed, we're going to call the first witness.
Our first witness is Betsy Newman.
Ms. Newman, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
At this point, if you would please state your name, your street name, and your town, and then tell the commission whether or not you are a Dominion customer and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels. Yeah, you will have 3
My
minutes to
name is-
testify, and you may begin your testimony now.
Okay. My name is Betsy Newman, also Elizabeth Newman. I live at 311 Westwood Avenue in Columbia, and I'm a Dominion customer, and I do have solar panels on my roof. I want to say that I pay my utility bills every month. I fail to see how charging me more will benefit those without solar panels. The extra fees Dominion has proposed will simply go to increase Dominion's bottom line. It is disingenuous for them to cite fairness as their objective. Dominion's plan could eliminate the solar industry in Dominion's territory, an industry that supplied more than 4,000 jobs in 2019. It would also move South Carolina backward. South Carolina lawmakers created the Energy Freedom Act to provide customers with cost-saving options after the failure of the Sumner nuclear power station resulted in customers paying inflated power bills. This relief would be denied under Dominion's plan. The South Carolina Public Service Commission must do the right thing for South Carolinians. We already pay some of the highest utility bills in the country and bear the brunt of the burden of the Sumner plant failure. When my husband and I purchased solar panels for our roof 8 years ago, we were motivated by the desire to lower our utility bills, yes. But our primary motivation was to do our small part to help the environment. The world is in a climate crisis. We see this all around us with hotter summers, increased floods and wildfires, rising oceans, loss of species. The list goes on. It is wrong, in fact, unconscionable, to punish people who are trying to help our state and country move away from fossil fuels. We saw the investment we made in solar as an investment in the future. Dominion's plan would force our state to move backward. Instead, the company should be leading us into the future. Rather than penalizing solar users, it should be coming up with creative ways to incorporate solar and other renewable energy sources into its vision for the future and making South Carolina an environmental champion. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, ma'am. Any questions for this witness from the parties?
No questions from Dominion Energy, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions, any of the other parties other than the applicant? All right, any questions for this witness from commissioners? Ma'am, I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
Are you there, Ms. Newman?
Yes.
Would your opinion change if you learned that the proposal by Dominion would not add to their bottom line?
No, I believe it will. I believe that is, what the proposal would do. But if it didn't do that, I still believe that penalizing people who have invested in solar and invested in a fossil fuel-free future is wrong.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing that with me. Ma'am, are you aware of the Office of Regulatory Staff's position in this docket?
No, I'm not. Can you explain that to me?
Well, I can't fully explain it to you, but I think it's fair to say that their proposal would potentially result in higher costs for you at some point.
Well, I just think that's backward looking, and we all need to be looking toward a future where we don't rely on fossil fuels, where we encourage people to use renewable energy sources and that benefit all of us, not just the people who have solar panels, but benefit the entire world.
All right, ma'am. Any more questions for this witness? All right, Ms. Newman, thank you for calling in. Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much.
Samuel Branham.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name, your street name, and your town, and then tell the commission whether or not you are a Dominion customer and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels. You will have 3 minutes for your testimony and may begin your testimony with that requested information now.
My name is Samuel D. Branham. I live in at 11159 Wilson Boulevard. I am a Dominion customer. I have solar panels. I have 36 of them on my house. I've been with them about almost 6 years now. And right now I am paying for my monthly payment about the same as what I'm paying for the solar, about the same thing as what it would cost me for electricity. If it goes up, I'm going to be losing money. I also have, I am a leasee. I don't own the system. I have a clause in this contract that I did not realize. It's a lot of clauses in it, but one of them is if I have to replace the shingles on my house, it would cost me another $500 to have this system removed and installed back when they're through. And they do that when they are at their leisure. I've had this thing to go down one time for about 2 weeks. I still had to make the payment. I didn't receive anything for the compensation, anything for the amount of energy that I lost. I just can't see having to pay more. If Dominion can get me out of this contract I got, I'd be glad to go on and with their energy. That's about all I have to say.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony. And parties, just so you know, as opposed to going down the long list of parties that we have, I'm just going to ask if you have questions. If you have questions, speak up. We'll recognize you. So any questions from this witness from the parties?
Mr. Chairman, Dominion Energy has one brief question, or a couple brief questions for Mr. Branham.
Please
Mr.
proceed.
Branham, Mr. Branham, this is Matt Gissendanner. I'm an attorney with Dominion Energy, South Carolina. Thank you for your testimony. I read your letter of protest that you filed with the commission in this docket, and my understanding from that was that you have a 20-year lease with Vivint Solar. Is that correct?
That is right.
And I believe you indicated in your letter that you were in the 5th year. I think you installed it maybe around 2016. Is that correct?
Yeah, 2016.
Okay. And at the time that you entered into your lease with Vivint, did Vivint inform you that the net energy metering rates, the 1-to-1 retail rate that you receive right now, did they inform you that that was only good until December 31st, 2025, pursuant to order of this commission?
No.
Okay. Thank you for that.
If they did, I do not remember it. I've got the contract. It should be in the contract if that was the case, wouldn't it?
I can't speak to Vivint's contract.
Well,
I
don't remember them telling me that. They told me so many lies to start with. I went to the regulatory part of PSC and tried to get something done, but they made an attempt to contact them, but they said that I was I signed a lease, so more or less that's what I got to do is fulfill the lease. But I went to 2 lawyers. They said, well, we can probably get you out of it, but it'll cost you as much to get you out of it as what you're going to have to pay off. So I said, well, there's no benefit in that. But I was lied from the day, and my wife and myself sit here in this house, and the salesman that come by here, we were both lied to the first day that they came by, and the stuff that they had us to sign. They told us it was something else, And we were lied all the way down. And then he came back about 3 more times, and they brought a paper each time. And each time they told us it was something else. Well, after we got hooked up to this thing totally, that's when they sent us the contract. And it was too late to do anything about disconnecting then. But they had told us, the guy that came here, and I can give you his name too. I've got all of it written down. If you would like to talk to me at some time or another, I'd be glad to talk to you any kind of way. And I am not the not the only old person that's been done this way. I got an elderly man that lives over in Jenkinsville that has been done the same way I have, except he's been charged a lot more than I am.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Branham. Mr. Branham, I don't know what the company can do with respect to your contract, but our renewable energy team would certainly take a look at it with you and see if there's any other ways that the company could help you out.
That
So
would be
if
wonderful.
if you would like to give our renewable energy team a call at 1-866-660-3705, they would be happy to speak with you and review that contract with you. And then I would also say that you may want to you may want to speak with the Office of Regulatory Staff with your concerns related to Vivint Solar, who you leased your system from. But thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Attorney Gissendaner, is that the same number that you offered during the last public hearing we had?
No, it's a different number.
691-1756.
69117.
I think he has a question for you, Attorney Gissendaner. The number, could you repeat the number again?
The number is
803-691-1756.
Is that your number, Mr. Branham?
Yes, sir. That's my home number.
Oh, okay. You don't have to. You don't have to give out your home number. I was going to say you can call us at 1-866-660-3705.
What was the last 3 digits?
705.
705.
Would you like to repeat that back to make sure that?
Please, if you would.
1-866-660. 660.
Okay, I got you.
And then 3705.
3705. All right, I got it.
All right.
All right. And
Thank
Matt,
you, Mr. Branham.
Attorney Gissendaner, what is that? That's the number to the renewable team?
That is the Dominion Energy South Carolina Renewable Energy Team line.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'll give them a call.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Office of Regulatory Staff, Attorney Nelson, is there a number that we can provide to Mr. Branham if he wanted to discuss his issue with you?
Yes, sir,
that number I gave you a minute ago, my home number?
No, sir. Mr. Branham, if you would hold 1 second, I'm talking to one of the attorneys. Would you mind holding 1 second?
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Attorney Nelson, is there a number we could offer to Mr. Branham?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The number is 1-800-922-1531. That's a toll-free number to our Consumer Complaints and Consumer Services Department.
Now, is that the same number that you offered during our last public testimony hearing?
I'm sure it is, Mr. Chairman. That is our one toll-free number for consumer services.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Parties, any more questions for Mr. Branham? Commissioners, questions for Mr. Branham? Mr. Branham, thank you for your testimony, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Dr. Gary Arbor?
Dr. Harbour, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you would please state your name, your street name, and your town, whether or not you are a Dominion customer, and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels. You will then have 3 minutes for your testimony and may begin your testimony after providing that requested information.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Gary Harbor, and I live at Hardy Ridge Way in Travelers Rest. I am in the middle of a rooftop solar project with my utility company, Blue Ridge Electric Co-op. And this morning, I'm speaking for the Climate Reality South Carolina Upstate chapter with almost 600 members spread across the 10 counties of the upstate, some of whom are Old Dominion Energy customers. But I further believe that if Dominion Energy is granted this new tariff structure, Duke Energy will follow, and then all the other energy companies in the state. So I want to object to Dominion Energy's proposal for changes to the consumer solar tariff structure. The changes that Dominion proposes would unreasonably affect the payback for customers of solar systems, contrary to the intentions of the Solar Choice Act 62. And I quote, "to build upon the successful deployment of solar generating capacity." This proposal would actually lead to what the act was intended to prevent, and I quote again from the act, "disruption of the growing market for customer scale distributed energy resources." With time, the newly proposed tariff would apply to both new and existing customers, taking away the financial incentive to install a new system. Under the newly proposed tariff, a 7 kilowatt system would only reach break even after around 25 years, the end of the normal lifetime of a consumer solar system. The larger the system, the bigger the penalty compared to the current net metering tariffs. Applying this tariff to existing solar customers would undermine confidence in the entire decision process for the installation of a system, and it would cripple the industry for future solar projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony, sir. Parties, questions for this witness?
Mr. Harbor, Dr. Harbor, this is Matt Gissendanner on behalf of Dominion Energy South Carolina. I just want to confirm, you indicated that you are a customer of Blue Ridge Electric Co-op. Would that mean that you are not in fact a customer of Dominion Energy South Carolina? Is that correct?
That's correct. Some of the members of our chapter are customers of Dominion Energy.
And how did you find out about the hearing today?
Well, it's something that we monitor in the chapter. Solar tariff, we monitor the docket at the PSC.
And so you're also aware that Duke Energy already has a pending proceeding as well. Are you aware of that?
I am, and would plan to speak at that hearing also.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the parties? Commissioners?
Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Williams, you have the floor, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Arbor, thank you for testifying. Part of your testimony talked about an estimate of 25 years before you would reach a break-even point with a typical installation. How did you arrive at that number?
I just worked through the numbers.
Okay,
like I say, I'm in the process of putting in a system at my house, 12 kilowatt system. So I just worked through the numbers for 7 kilowatt, and that's what I found based on the numbers for the system I'm currently working on.
And using any of the data that we were given in the hearing regarding this request?
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
what was the data that you were using? Where did you get the information that you were using for your analysis?
I got it out of the docket there.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Any more questions for Dr. Harbor? Commissioner Caston.
Can you hear me, Dr. Harbor?
Yes, I can.
Do you believe that other energy sources such as nuclear, natural gas, and whatever should continue, or are you?
Well, I believe that natural gas is a big improvement over coal, but with time, I think that natural gas will have to be phased out probably over the next 10 years. And I believe that nuclear energy with existing plants will be a bridge to our energy future. Maybe someday we'll have even better small nuclear plants, but the existing plants need to be a bridge to the future.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions for Dr. Harbor? Dr. Harbor, thank you for calling in this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Bye now.
The next witness is Larry Faulkner.
Mr. Faulkner, do you solemnly affirm the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Could you repeat
Mr.
that?
Faulkner?
Yes.
Do you solemnly affirm that
I do.
All right. If you would please state your name, your street name, and your town, whether or not you are a Dominion customer, and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels. You will then have 3 minutes for your testimony and may begin your testimony now.
Larry Faulkner. I own a house at 109 Heritage Parkway. Have solar panels. Received this letter from Dominion about requesting the commission. They want to do a what do you want to call it? Tariff charges to solar customers. I had some questions, not really fully understanding some of the charges they want to add to my electric bill. I did put a call into Dominion Electric. The young lady I talked to had no knowledge of this. She put me on hold for a few minutes, came back, and she said, "Oh, I did find this." But I quickly gathered she did not comprehend what questions I had. Tried to ask for a supervisor. After 15 minutes on hold, I just had hung up, had other things to do. But I read here, it says, the new rate is designed to reduce costs imposed upon all customers who do not utilize rooftop solar, while allowing rooftop solar customers to self-supply power without penalty. But then further down, it says that they want to charge me a basic facilities charge of $19.50 per month, which I add up to around $234 a year. I don't understand how that could be without penalty. Also, it stipulates about also there's an additional monthly subscription fee. And that I really don't understand. I know there's somebody there that can fully explain the significance of this, of what else charges will be on the bill. That's where I'm at.
Thank you, sir. Parties, questions for this witness? Commissioners, questions for this witness? All right, Mr. Faulkner, thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate your testimony.
Thank you, sir. I hope the commission looks at this and will disapprove this additional charges that they wish to impose upon solar panel owners.
Thank you for your testimony, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Sean Grimes.
Sean Grimes, we're going to swear you in really quickly. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
At this time, will you please state your name, your street name and town, whether or not you are a Dominion customer, and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels? You'll have 3 minutes for your testimony, and upon providing that requested information, may begin your testimony.
Yep. So my name's Sean Grimes. I am based out of Lexington, South Carolina in Whiteford. And I am a Dominion Energy customer as well as in the solar industry. So we're based out of Lexington, South Carolina. Am I good to go ahead and start?
Yes, keep going.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're based out of Lexington, South Carolina, and over 90% of our customers are Dominion Energy customers. I pretty much just want to start off by saying how deeply saddened I am that these are the choices that Dominion Energy has made. I thought Duke Energy could have led you guys by example with their new net metering policy, but no, here we are again, another opportunity for Dominion Energy to give their customers the short end of the stick, another opportunity for Dominion Energy to do the complete opposite of the right thing. You see, this new policy not only will limit solar, this new policy is set to completely pulverize solar, our way of life, and how we support our families. So looking at the numbers, Dominion Energy provided Commissioner Williams in Exhibit 8 greatly misrepresent the outcome of solar choice net metering. Dominion Energy has inflated these numbers to make it look as if solar will still look appetizing to their customers. And the truth is, not only will the added costs make solar more expensive, they'll completely wipe out the solar industry as we know it for the 700,000 plus customers that we service. The 700,000 plus customers that we see, that we've spoken to, that we hear they're paying from their high electricity rates. These customers are average families. They use their power like the average person would, but they're stuck with an electric bill that's much, much higher than average based off of these costs that have been accrued. With the help of the DERP Act, we've been able to provide these families a solution to this pain in the form of solar, which is just a simple service that these homeowners use to alleviate just some of the stresses that Dominion Energy has placed on these families time and time again. Let's not forget about our past. Let's not forget about how high our rates have gone from Dominion Energy mismanaging our money. Yes, they may have changed the name, but we all know the crooked business practices and most of the employees that were there before are still there. Let's not forget about the $4.9 billion that was spent on our failed nuclear project that we still have to pay for. And let's not forget about in May of 2019 when net metering was shut down and we had to scramble to find a solution. Luckily, the Energy Freedom Act was passed, but here we are again. You see, any opportunity Dominion gets to give us the short end of the stick, they do. So before you allow Dominion Energy to give us the short end of the stick again, I ask you to please think about the South Carolina families that have already been struggling to pay their bills. I ask you to think about my family and my installers' families that need solar to support themselves. And I ask you to please think about the future progression in our great state that you'll be stopping
Mr.
by
Grimes.
Dominion Energy to add these tariffs and continue to monopolize our electricity.
All right, Mr. Grimes, thank you for your testimony. Parties, question for this witness.
Mr. Grimes, this is Matt Gissendanner with Dominion Energy. I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. Did you indicate in your testimony that you had spoken to 700,000 customers of Dominion Energy?
No, I have not personally spoken to 700,000 customers.
Okay. And you understand that
Yes.
there are only 11,000 customers in our service territory with approximately 11,000 with solar.
Yes, sir. Yeah, because we can't get every home solar because not every home qualifies.
And you, who is you indicated we, who, could you please indicate who it is that you work for?
Yeah, so I own a company called Souls of Power. I've been in the industry for the past 5 years and have led door-to-door teams. So our teams, myself and other people, have been going door-to-door and in other forms to communicate with these Dominion Energy customers. So yeah, we've been in, North Augusta, Charleston, pretty much all over the state to, hear these pains these customers are dealing with.
Thank you, Mr. Grimes.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, questions for this witness.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I did have one follow-up question from what Mr. Gissendanner just said. If I could.
Is that Attorney Nelson?
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. This is Jeff Nelson for ORS.
Please proceed.
Mr. Grimes, you said something about not every home qualifies. Could you explain to me what you mean by that?
Yes, ma'am. So pretty much the way that solar works is we're looking for the most south-facing roof. Now, for example, last night I had a homeowner that had, didn't have too many trees in their yard, but they had a massive tree on the south side. So for them, they would either have to cut down the tree for their home, for solar to make sense for their home, because all we're doing is we're looking at how much sunlight we can get on these roof planes. and putting solar there to be able to capture that energy. Now, not all homes have the same direction of roof. You know, some roofs have weird roof planes. You know, you have obstructions on them. So not all homes are going to be good for solar. So it's, you know, it's I'd say less than 1 out of 10 homes are actually going to be able to qualify for solar. So, you know, it's not every home can, and a lot of times the home can't because of sometimes it's HOA. There's a lot of different things that go into us qualifying homes for solar.
So is it just principally location, or is it also qualifying financially?
Sorry, it's a little, I couldn't hear did you say qualifying financially? I couldn't really hear what you said.
Is it strictly location, which is what you seem to testify to, or is it also financially people don't qualify?
No, so in the financial side is kind of actually where we've been, you know, it's been a blessing for us because of the DERB Act. We've been able to use, you know, these state and federal incentives to make it to where we can actually put the financial burden on us and provide solar as a service. So financially, it's not really an issue. It's more of the locations and that kind of things.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Any more questions for this witness from the parties? Commissioner questions. Mr. Grimes.
Sir.
Are you aware of the position of the Office of Regulatory Staff in this docket?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Libby Smith.
Ms. Smith, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Will you please state your name, your street name, and your town, whether or not you are currently a Dominion customer, and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels? You will then have 3 minutes to give your testimony and may do so at your convenience.
My name is Libby Smith. I live on North Shore Drive in Charleston. I'm a current solar customer of Dominion. I was, in fact, the first customer of SCE&G's Palmetto Clean Energy at the beginning of utility net metering in South Carolina after the 2008 PSC hearings. I have 7.91 kilowatts of solar capacity, partly bought in 2008 and added to in 2019. Net metering offered me the chance to take action toward an environmentally cleaner and more climate-friendly South Carolina. I did make this investment expecting to benefit by the full retail value of my generation under net metering. Under this tariff, by generating more than half my power, I save about $1,000 a year. Sorry, I'm having a little asthma interference. When the solar no-choice metering proposal goes into effect for my home, my energy cost would increase by about $900 more per year than the $108 I currently pay. This is not a small change in fees. This is a confiscatory increase. This $1,000 annual solar penalty will pretty much gobble up my entire $1,000 benefit. Please note, I buy the rest of my power from Dominion for over $9 a year. That's my contribution to their costs. I'd like to explain how I see this playing out for solar owners like myself. Half my generation is used immediately when it's generated. The other half is exported and sold to Dominion because I can't use it exactly when it's generated. All Dominion has to do here is a digital transaction that credits me with a retail rate for the income they will receive by selling this exported power to another customer at that full retail rate. This one-for-one retail credit for exported power is a core part of receiving the value of my investment, not some nice side income. It's 50% of my savings. Now, what happens under this new proposal? After this change, my all-important export credit drops by about $400 a year as the retail net metering rate drops by 70% to an avoided cost rate. Then there's the subscription fee. This fee, in violation of Act 236, charges for the half of my generation, which is fully used behind the meter and does not affect Dominion. My subscription fee will be about $438 a year. Along with the increased facility charge, these will drive my energy costs up by approximately $950 annually. That'll leave me with a $50 annual profit on my $1,000 worth of solar generation. So much for encouraging a growing residential solar energy industry in South Carolina, for achieving significant reductions in South Carolina's greenhouse gas emissions. The Energy Freedom Act made clear those were the state's goals. If you want to give me solar choice, may I please buy my power from Duke, South Carolina, or even Dominion, Virginia? Thank you very much for giving me this chance to testify.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions for this witness from the parties? Questions for this witness from commissioners?
Just one, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers. Commissioner Powers, I think you're muted.
I apologize. Ms. Smith, did you increase the size when you said you upgraded, or you just had to do some upgrade as far as just repair?
The cost of solar had dropped by so much that I could over double my investment for half of what I had to pay. It was $30,000+ for my first solar back in 2008 and $17,000 for a lot more in 2019. So yes, I did increase it. And so that part being paid back is not really even close because I haven't had it very long.
So what is the size of your unit now? Kilowatt hours?
7.91 kilowatts. It covers about 56% of my energy use. The rest I'm buying directly from Dominion, as I said.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have a quick question for you. Are you familiar with Act 62? It sounds like you are, but I don't want to make any assumptions.
Which one is that?
The Energy Freedom Act.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And I'm particularly familiar with the goals that were in it, like encouraging community solar, encouraging our solar industry, all of that. Yep. I'm not a big fan of the need to cover the shifting costs. I was at a meeting back in 2008 where Duke Scott said to the utilities, if you give us detailed documentation of the cost shift, we'll put it in the rate base. I don't think that's ever been produced.
Okay. So you bring me to my next question. You acknowledge that Act 62 does instruct the commission to eliminate any cost shift to the greatest extent practicable.
If they can find any, yeah. It doesn't say we're sure it's there. As I said, I'm paying them $900 a year. That's more than covering any impact that my generation, exported only because the behind the meter part doesn't affect them. And I would imagine that they know that many of their solar customers are also buying power directly and contributing in the same way as any other customer to their infrastructure charges.
Are you familiar with the position the Office of Regulatory Staff has taken in this matter?
I have not looked at it. I would like to put in a pitch for what a great job they did back in 2008, by the way. They negotiated a great first-level net metering for us, and I was very pleased to be able to have worked with them through that effort. And the PSC themselves, who let 50 people testify at a public hearing, was also much appreciated at the time.
All right. Thank you for your testimony, ma'am.
Chairman Williams?
Oh, Commissioner Williams, ma'am, Ms. Smith, there's one more question for you.
Okay, I'm still here.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Smith. I think I heard you say that the subscription fee, that your sense was that was not allowed by the Energy Freedom Act. Can you explain your position there?
I believe that I think it's Act 236. I could have the legislation wrong. Dominion is not supposed to be able to charge for anything that happens behind the meter. And what that would mean is the solar energy that I generate right here at my house and that goes right into my house. That's not affecting their costs or their infrastructure. I'm not doing anything to them. That subscription fee is on the entire quantity of solar I have. So they should not be able to put that subscription fee against the whole amount. I would maintain that they should only be able to put it against the amount that I export, which is a little bit less than half. of my total generation. So I don't think it's legitimate. I mean, I don't think it makes sense anyway, but if there's going to be a subscription fee, it should only be covering the part that they are impacted by.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks again for testifying.
Thank you for listening.
Ms. Smith, have a great day.
All righty. Bye now.
The next witness is Mike Weiskopf.
Mr. Weiskopf, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you would please state your name, your street name, and your town, whether or not you are a Dominion customer, and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels. You will have 3 minutes for your testimony and may begin your testimony now.
Good morning. My name is Mike Weiskopf, and I am a residential solar owner in Charleston on Rebellion Road. I'm going to make 4 points this morning, but I can't provide the supporting analysis in 3 minutes. The detail of what I'm discussing is available in a letter of protest that can be obtained from the PSC staff. So please, my letter of protest. Also, I have an editorial in this morning's Post and Courier you can read. My first point is Dominion's proposed solar rate increase can be over a 4,000% increase over current rates. Understanding Dominion's solar choice rates can be rather abstract with facility fees, subscription fees, and time of use fees. I have access to data that allowed me to calculate exactly what my costs in 2020 would have been under solar choice, and I would have had to pay $1,041. In actuality in 2020, because I received reimbursement for over 3,000 kilowatt hours that I put into the grid, my actual costs were $25. This is over a 4,000% increase. My point number 2 is subscription fees make no sense. They are really a way to charge for behind-the-meter self-consumption, which is a violation of Act 62 and therefore must be removed from the rate structure. Subscription fees proposed by Dominion are large fixed monthly costs that have no direct relation to how much you're using the grid infrastructure, which is the whole reason Dominion is proposing solar choice rates. My research concluded that Dominion came up with solar subscription fees as a backdoor way to make up for lost revenue for behind-the-meter self-consumption. It is a direct violation of Act 62, and therefore the Commission must not approve subscription fees. My point number 3 is solar choice rates, if approved, clearly residential solar investment in South Carolina will no longer make sense. And I base that on if I was a solar choice customer in 2020 or a regular residential customer, the difference in cost would have been $366. At that rate, it would take over 25 years to recover your original cost. What rational homeowner would do that sort of investment? Act 62 states we should still encourage solar residential use. We need to find a solution that makes sense for homeowners to still invest in solar and maintain the jobs and other economic benefits that come with residential solar deployment. My fourth and last point is Dominion's purchase rate of 3.6 cents a kilowatt hour for exported residential solar is exploited, and Dominion would need to pay a fair price. The beauty of distributed residential solar is it's produced right where it's needed. There is no long distance transmission cost. Please see my letter of protest for full explanation. Thank you.
Sir, thank you for your testimony. You shared a lot of information within the time limit. I greatly appreciate that. Hey, those of you that are out there, maybe joining us for the first time, if you could mute your microphones, if someone is like listening in via phone, if you could just mute your phones or mute your microphones. We had a lot of background noise with the last witness. Parties, any questions for this witness?
Mr. Chairman, I had one question. Mr. Weiskopf, in your letter of protest, am I correct that you stated, I can intuitively see that I benefit from Dominion's utility and energy infrastructure rate base as a net metering customer, and that my benefit to a certain degree, and I think you left out the word is, at the expense of non-solar customers. Did I quote you correctly there?
Yes, I acknowledge the current net metering is a good deal, and I agree, it's a burden to Dominion. So the question is, what is the right solution? And it's not solar choice rates. And I'd love to work with the Commission. I think I can come up with what would be fair for all concerned.
I want to be clear, Mr. Weiskopf. The quote that I just read you did not say that it was a burden to Dominion, but that your benefit to a certain degree at the expense of non-solar customers. So it's actually a burden to non-solar customers is what you said. Is that correct?
Yes. Of which, it's interesting that 11,000 solar customers is 1% of the 740,000 customers that Dominion has. It's such a small percent. So, but yeah, there is some type of burden for solar usage that is put on the rest of the customers. I do acknowledge that, and it's clearly in Act 62 also.
And you understand that, and as you indicated, you understand in Act 62 that Dominion was required to file a solar choice metering tariff, and this commission is required to approve a tariff that eliminates that cost shift to the greatest extent practicable.
Yes, I understand that. The question is, what are the right rates to do? And it's not solar choice as proposed right now. So let's work together to figure out what makes sense. And it still allows for a solar residential industry and allow people to purchase and recover their costs.
Thank you, Mr. Weiskopf.
Thank you.
Parties, any questions for this witness? Commissioner questions? Sir, thank you for your testimony. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, sir.
The next witness is Jonathan Lamb.
Mr. Lamb, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Mr. Lamb?
Hello?
Yes, hello. Mr. Lamb, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. If you would please state your name, your street name, and your town, and then tell the commission whether or not you're a Dominion customer and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels. You will have 3 minutes for your testimony and may begin your testimony upon providing that requested information.
My name is Jonathan Lamb. I live on Pristine View Road in Charleston. I am a current Dominion Energy customer, having been an SCE&G customer since 2005, and I have rooftop solar on 2 homes. So this proposal, as it's currently written, would severely affect me. In 2013, I installed a 2 kilowatt net metered PV system on a townhouse in Mount Pleasant where I lived. Then in 2019, after moving to West Ashley, I installed an 8 kilowatt grid tied system on my current home. My primary motivation for installing rooftop solar has always been to reduce my reliance on dirty energy sources, since Dominion has done almost nothing to transition toward cleaner power. So in total, I've spent about $40,000 on solar panels between the 2 houses. A big part of making that investment was knowing that they would pay for themselves in approximately 10 years. To me, it's especially ironic that after charging consumers billions of dollars for a power plant that never got built, now they want to make me pay extra for generating my own power. To me, that seems like pure evil. I'm particularly troubled by this proposed flat fee per kilowatt of production. Every solar array is different, as one of the previous witnesses mentioned, because of the direction the panels face, like their pitch and the shading on the roof. For my current system, I had to install a much larger array to offset the issues with shading and also the fact that my house faces west. So making me pay the same flat fee per kilowatt as someone with an array in full sun that's producing perhaps double the energy that mine is completely unfair. Our bills in the wintertime are over $100 per month that we're paying directly to Dominion. So I feel like Dominion is still getting plenty of money from us to offset any kind of costs for the distribution of energy to our house. So in summary, I urge the PSC to reject Dominion's proposal and instead maintain the existing net metering agreement until Dominion can provide detailed analysis of how the solar generators are costing the non-solar generators and detailed information about what that cost is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony. Questions from the parties? Questions from the commission? Sir, I have a quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware of the Office of Regulatory Staff's position in this matter?
No.
Thank you, sir. If there are no further questions, you may step down from the stand and have a great day.
Thank you.
Lanier Smith.
Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
If you would please state your name, your street name in your town, whether or not you are a Dominion customer, and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels. You will have 3 minutes for your testimony and may begin your testimony upon providing that required information.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Lanier Smith, and I live at Ashley Court in West Columbia, South Carolina. I am a Dominion customer. I have been for a number of decades, and I have rooftop solar panels installed on my home. I also work as a residential solar specialist. I work in the solar industry. After I got my panels up, I got a job with the company, and so I make my living in the solar business. So needless to say, this decision affects my life in pretty much every way possible. So first of all, as a Dominion customer, and I should say I would like to file a copy of my comments in case I run out of time, but I'll do my best to condense. So first of all, as a Dominion customer who has rooftop solar, I am outraged by the idea that Dominion could soon make me change my agreement with them, forcing me to pay more for their power, even though I use less of it. Even though I'm producing and using my own electricity right on my roof, as it was mentioned, behind the meter usage, which cuts out the cost of Dominion producing, transporting, and distributing it. I will still have to pay fees just for having the panels. This is a subscription that we're talking about. In the wake of massive growth of South Carolina's solar industry, this seems like nothing but an attempt by Dominion's monopoly to kill their now thriving competition. Essentially, this is like a water company charging people who have a well in their backyard for using their own well water. Or it's like a grocery store charging you a monthly fee for growing some of your own food in a garden. It makes no sense. It's anti-consumer choice and it's anti-American. No other business would be allowed to do something like this, and Dominion is taking advantage of their monopoly status to punish the only competition they've ever had, which is distributed solar generation. As a South Carolinian who's already paid dearly for power that I never used, I'm referring, of course, to the $5 billion failed nuclear plant that occurred right under this commission's nose. I am inclined to fight vehemently for my right to save my hard-earned money. Not only will Dominion's tariffs impact me in my home, but it will greatly impact me as a worker in the solar industry as well. South Carolina is the 15th largest producer of solar energy in the entire country, which is an amazing achievement for our state's humble size. This growth has brought prosperity and opportunity to so many. Solar supports over 7,000 jobs here, jobs that are so desperately needed in this pandemic recovery. I am one of those jobs, and I stand to suffer potential loss due to the enormous impact of these changes. If you don't believe me that these fees and rate changes will kill solar jobs and drastically, just take a look at what's happened in other states, and I'll file that for comment. I have an example from Utah and Alabama. It is clear that utility fees on rooftop solar make or break the solar industry in any given state. It is beyond evident that Dominion's proposed cuts will all but destroy rooftop solar installations in their territory, and that's the point. It blatantly violates the Energy Freedom Act passed here in 2019, which states the goal is to avoid disruption to the growing market for consumer-scale distributed energy resources. It also threatens thousands of jobs like
Ms.
mine.
Smith.
You commissioners are the only thing that can keep a utility monopoly from exploiting
Is there any way for us to control the person talking?
in our state and slowing the transition to a more sustainable and resilient future.
Ms. Smith?
I urge you to think of the precedent that this would
Is
set
she
for other
ignoring me?
utilities in our state and for millions of South Carolinians like me, and for people whose livelihoods depend on the decision you're about to make. Thank you.
Ms. Smith, could you hear me asking you to stop testifying?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we have like 259 people scheduled to testify, and we have a 3-minute limit. I definitely don't want to be disrespectful, but we also need to make sure we respect everyone else's time.
I didn't hear it come through. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
It's okay. It could be a technical issue on our end. Questions from the parties?
Ms. Smith, this is Matt Gissendanner with Dominion Energy. Could you please spell your first name for me again?
Lanier.
And you testified that you were a Dominion customer. Is the account in your name?
My first name is Caitlin.
Caitlin. Okay, thank you. So is that the name that the account is in?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and can you spell that for me, please?
Kaitlyn.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any more questions from the parties? Questions from commissioners? Ms. Smith, a couple of questions for you. Are you aware of the Office of Regulatory Staff's position in this matter?
I'm not, and I know that you keep asking people that. What is the position of the regulatory staff?
Well, I can't give you their full position here, but it's possible that the Dominion Solar Choice Tariff would cost you less than the proposal by the Office of Regulatory Staff.
I mean, I've done the math on what Dominion's proposal would cost. And like I said, it's not fair to charge a subscription fee for power that I'm not going to be using. It just doesn't make any sense. And many witnesses that have come before me have said that. And I think, you know, since there is the Energy Freedom Act that has been passed in 2019, it really, none of these tariffs make sense.
I understand your position, and the reason I keep asking the question, I've probably heard Dominion's name maybe 100 times, maybe more than that, since we started taking testimony, and I just find it interesting that they're being targeted, if you will, when their proposal is not as costly, potentially costly for someone like you than the Office of Regulatory Staff.
Well, I mean, as a commissioner, as the Public Service Commission has the power to deny both of those proposals. So I think that you guys should take the position that is fair for people that have made the investment in green energy, that people that are trying to help the country transition and have made a smart choice, and that we should not be punished because we've made that choice.
I understand your position. I've also heard the word fair and fairness used a lot as well. Are you familiar with Act 62? It sounds like you are.
Energy Freedom Act?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. What are your thoughts about the Commission's responsibility to eliminate any cost shift to the greatest extent practicable?
I am glad you asked that. So, I mean, there are multiple mandates in the Energy Freedom Act, one of which I stated is that it should not, where did I write that? It should not cause damage to the solar industry, basically. It should not, reduce jobs. I understand it also, there is a mandate not to have unfair cost shift, but I think that there are other ways that we can address cost shift to non-solar customers without completely eliminating the savings that solar customers have taken on. There are many different ways that we could do that. And I think that just the flat fees punishing solar customers to keep up the grid and basically eliminating our investment is not the way to do that.
I understand your position, but you would agree that the Commission should at least look at the cost shift and look at trying to reduce it to the greatest extent.
I don't think there's enough evidence of what the cost shift actually is. The witness, two people before me, said that there's only 1% of Dominion customers that have solar, most of whom are still paying Dominion at least a little bit for their power. So how much cost shift could there actually be if around 1% of Dominion's customers have solar? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Understood. Any more questions for this witness?
Chair Williams.
Commissioner Caston.
So, relative to what Chairman Williams asked about the ORS, if you know about the ORS position, I think you can access that either on their website or through the system the Public Service Commission has. But I didn't understand completely. Did you agree that there is a cost shift or no?
I mean, I think that is up for debate. I mean, if I am producing my own power, it's flowing directly from my solar panels into my house, then everything that happens, quote, behind the meter is not affecting Dominion or other Dominion customers in any way. So as far as me using my own solar panels, it's just like me growing my own food in my garden. It doesn't affect anybody else that buys food from the grocery store. So that, as far as that goes, there's no cost shift there. But I don't believe that there is any evidence of what the cost shift actually is, or how that would affect other customers. You know, as far as my exported power being more expensive than a wholesale power provider. And I think that it's reckless to make this decision that would kill the solar industry without, you know, a full-fledged look at what Dominion's actual, you know, the impact on their bottom line is from 1% of people who are producing solar.
Okay, thank you. I believe there is on the record at least opinions from ORS and Dominion of what they say this is. For what it's worth, you may want to look at that. But other than that, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Smith. Commissioner Caston alluded to this, and I guess I should have brought it up to you as well. If you want to read all the questions that you have regarding the cost shift, and it's up for debate, you are right, it is up for debate. But the parties to this docket they've presented a case to the commission, and they filed testimony, and I think you may find it interesting reading. If you need assistance using the docketing management system that the Public Service Commission has on its website, I'm sure that you can call and someone can walk you through that. You may already be familiar with DMS.
Yes, I have looked at that.
Okay. All right. Any more questions for this witness? Ms. Smith, thank you so much for your testimony. And does someone have something to say?
Chairman Williams, this is Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Williams, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, you mentioned that you are in the solar industry, and I wanted to ask you how you convey to your customers and potential customers information about the current net energy metering and solar tariffs and their expiration.
Well, I have let them know, of course, that Dominion is planning to change their rules as to how much, exported energy is worth and what their fees are. And so I have advised them to build smaller systems just in case this goes through. And, so they would be using most of the power behind the meter without a lot of export. But yes, I do not mislead my customers as far as this is going. And I hope that you guys make the right decision and allow more people to take advantage of the current rider.
Thank you. And you probably already also know that the Energy Freedom Act also indicates a time frame where we must start a new tariff, and that's what this is all about. So thank you for your input.
Thank you.
All right, ma'am, have a good day. Please call the next witness.
The next witness is Sharon Foxworthy.
Ms. Foxworthy, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
If you would please state your name, your street name, and your town, whether or not you are a Dominion customer, and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels. You'll have 3 minutes to give testimony before the commission and may begin your testimony upon providing that requested information.
Yes. Good morning, members of the Public Service Commission. I appreciate this opportunity to speak with you regarding the Solar Choice Tariff proposal from Dominion. My name is Sharon Foxworthy. I live at 5321 Chantilly Lane in North Charleston, and I am a Dominion Energy customer. When my husband and I moved into this house in 2016, one of the very first things we did was invest in rooftop solar. We are part of that 1% of rooftop solar owners in the Dominion territory of South Carolina. I have been a solar proponent and advocate for many years, and this was my first opportunity to purchase a rooftop solar system to power our home with clean, renewable solar energy. I have a strong personal value to take responsibility for my life, and this includes my carbon footprint. I put my money where my mouth is and am committed to the personal investment of a rooftop solar system because I recognize the need to move away from fossil-fueled energy and the carbon emissions that fossil-fueled energy produces. My husband and I drive electric vehicles, which we power with the solar energy generated from our solar system. We also have invested in battery storage to cover our power needs in the event of a power outage due to a large storm. These are not insignificant investments of money, but they are representative of our commitment to move towards a clean energy future. The Solar Choice Tariff proposed by Dominion will significantly impact my household by increasing the subscription rate by at least $700 a year. This is punitive and far in excess to the perceived cost shift that we, as rooftop solar ratepayers, may cause. In addition, by assigning this tariff, it will significantly discourage other responsibly minded ratepayers from making similar personal investments into rooftop solar systems. In light of the numerous climate crisis impact reports that are indicating that we have to move away from fossil-fueled energy, we need to encourage more people to make similar personally responsible choices and decisions with a shift towards clean, renewable energy like rooftop solar. I implore the members of the PSC to reject this solar choice tariff and to urge Dominion Energy to create positive incentives that would encourage more ratepayers to invest in rooftop solar. By doing so, Dominion Energy will be in keeping with the spirit of our Energy Freedom Act, which says, every customer of an electrical utility has the right to a rate schedule that offers the customer a reasonable opportunity to employ such energy and cost-saving measures in order to reduce consumption of electricity from the electrical utilities grid and to reduce electrical utility costs. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you for your testimony, ma'am. Questions from the parties? Commissioner questions? All right, ma'am. Thank you for providing your testimony today. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Our next witness is Ashlyn Burns.
Ms. Burns, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
If you would please state your name, your street name, and your town, whether or not you are a Dominion customer, and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels. You will then have 3 minutes for your testimony before the commission and may begin at your convenience. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Ashlyn Burns. I live at 2877 Rutherford Way in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm a current Dominion customer and I have current solar rooftop panels on my home. So as a South Carolinian, I know we pride ourselves on having a freedom of choice and not allowing any company, public or private, to tell us how to live. The Solar Choice Tariff is an attempt by Dominion to tell us how and where we must get our energy. It is an attempt for the monopoly to take control of our right to the sun and discourage the use of the resource that cannot and should not be owned by any one person or company. It is our right to use solar energy, and it is the public's utility responsibility to allow us freedom without imposing cost-prohibitive measures against us for doing so. I'd like to remind the PSC that the Energy Freedom Act says any decisions by the Public Service Commission shall be just and reasonable to the ratepayers of the electrical utility in the public interest and non-discriminatory to small power producers, such as residential solar customers. The lost revenue Dominion is trying to avoid goes directly against the Energy Freedom Act, which says that electrical utilities are prohibited from recovering lost revenues associated with customer generators who apply for customer generator programs. Any portion of this tariff is unacceptable, and the PSC should realize that Dominion is trying to monopolize an energy source for themselves. Distributed energy is here and now. It is not the state's responsibility to protect the publicly traded utilities, but to ensure power generation is fair and reasonable for all South Carolinians. It is the utility's responsibility to adapt and navigate the future of energy generation, and that should not come in the form of tariffs for their customers. Please enact a tariff that would essentially prohibit forward change in clean energy for the state of South Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, ma'am. Questions from the parties? Question from commissioners? Ma'am, are you familiar with the Office of Regulatory Staff's position in this matter?
I've heard what others have been asked, but that's all I'm aware of.
All right.
Is what's been discussed.
Any more questions for this witness? Ma'am, thank you for calling in to testify. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Michelle Hammes.
Do you solemnly affirm? I'm sorry. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
If you would please state your name, your street name, and your town, whether or not you are a Dominion customer, and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels. You will have 3 minutes for your testimony and may begin your testimony at your convenience.
My name is Michelle Hammes. I live on Holly Street, North Charleston, South Carolina. I am a Dominion customer. I do not have solar at this point. Okay, so I oppose Dominion's or ORS's plan for a solar rate increase. The plan would decrease the value of residential solar, crippling our current solar companies in South Carolina. I would like to have the option of solar power. We need to utilize innovations and prioritize renewable energy resources. Currently, we have the highest electrical rates in the country. Again, I do not have solar at this point, and I don't mind this supposed cost shift that is being opposed upon us. We need to be looking more towards how to increase solar in our state. Dominion and ORS needs to work with environmental groups and come up with a new plan. That is my testament.
Thank you for your testimony, ma'am. Any questions for this witness from the parties? Commissioners? Commissioner Caston?
Ms. Hammes, do you have plans to install solar anytime in the future?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay.
But it's very upsetting to me to read about this. This is going to ruin my ability to be able to put solar on my house. So I'm very frustrated by this. I don't understand why we're focusing on this minimal cost shift to non-solar users when we need to be looking to the future of utilizing renewable energy resources.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Any more questions for this witness? Ma'am, thank you for calling in to testify. Please enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for your time.
The next witness is Ronald Gill.
Mr. Gill, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
If you would please state your name, your street name, and your town, whether or not you are a Dominion customer, and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels. You will have 3 minutes for your testimony and may begin your testimony upon providing that requested information.
All right. My name is Ronald P. Gill. I'm on Kusawati Street in Somerville. I do have solar on my house. Was that all of those items?
You are a Dominion customer or not?
Oh, yes, I am a Dominion customer.
Thank you.
All right, so first may I say that I have kind of limited skin in this game. I have no grandchildren. I have no children, so the future of the planet isn't going to affect my progeny at all. No, I do this, that is solar in my house, because it's the right thing to do, and I would like to play a meaningful role in a sustainable planet. This is the main driver of my putting solar power on my roof. Not because it's going to save me money, not because it's going to extend the life of my roof, not because I'd be able to power my house should the grid fail, but because it's the right thing to do in contributing to a sustainable planet. With that in mind, I keep an eye on my energy consumption. I recently purchased an electrical vehicle in order to help reduce my carbon footprint. As a result, my solar installation will effectively provide for all the energy I need for my transportation needs. None of it was cheap. But don't get me wrong, I didn't do it with the thought in mind that the state could use my efforts as a reason to squeeze more revenue out of me. My perspective is completely from a residential viewpoint. Consider the fairness. I'm making it easier for Dominion to fulfill their commitments to their customers. I'm already contributing to Dominion's success. I already pay their fees like all other residential customers. That I should pay more because I've made my solar choices is absurd. I make it easier for Dominion to be successful due to my generation system. Customers with solar distributed generation are making it so utility companies don't have to make as many infrastructure investments, while at the same time, solar shaves down peak demands when electricity is the most expensive. Indeed, Michigan Tech University has shown that grid-tied solar photovoltaic owners are actually subsidizing their non-PV neighbors. Not only that, but based on a report in the Charleston Business Journal, Dominion's own analysts said that these tariffs are likely not going to reduce any kind of costs to the non-solar customers. Thinking like this, that being additional tariffs, is what's going to make it deadly for future generations as CO2 in the atmosphere rises, heating the planet further, creating all the problems that over 90% of scientists say is leading to global climate change. According to Michigan Tech's study, it can be concluded that substantial future regulatory reform is needed to ensure that grid-tied solar photovoltaic owners are not unjustly subsidizing U.S. electrical utilities. The argument that solar power generation customers use energy when the sun isn't shining is weak and hard to fathom. That we help them to meet their commitments when the sun is shining is being overlooked in this calculation. Saying that we don't share in the costs when the sun is out is arrogant and pompous. Time of use rate plans are a red herring. For what is my turnkey system, my having now to monitor usage and try to adjust due to the clock is not convenient, a poor offering by the utility. They purport to encourage me to conserve energy, which I'm doing by having installed solar. When the utilities did this in Nevada in 2015, they killed the solar energy
Mr.
overnight.
Gill.
It took the legislature's intervention to lure some of them back. Yes?
Your time is up, sir. I'm going to ask whether or not there are questions for you. Questions for this witness from the parties? Questions for this witness from the commissioners? All right, Mr. Gill, thank you for calling in to testify. We appreciate your testimony in this matter.
Very good. Bye-bye.
Mark Gould.
Mr. Gould, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Mr. Gould?
Mr. Gould.
Mr. Gould, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you would please state your name, your street name, and your town. If you would please at this point provide the commission with your name, your street name, and your town, whether or not you're a Dominion customer, and whether or not you have rooftop solar panels. Mr. Gould, can you hear me?
I hear you. My name is Mark Gould. My address is 25 Catfiddle Street, Charleston, 29403, and I have rooftop solar panels.
And are you a Dominion customer?
Yes.
At this point, please proceed with your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Pardon me? Okay. We installed our solar panels about 4 or 5 years ago with tax breaks. It has a payback period of 8 years. If with the fees that Dominion proposes to add to solar panel customers, I could not have afforded this project. It would have wiped out any economic advantages that would have accrued to having solar panels. So this bill basically kills rooftop solar. I mean, these proposals by Dominion really kill rooftop solar. My panels face west and feed a huge amount of energy back into Dominion's grid in the late afternoon in the summer when air conditioning loads are higher. So my system helps maintain the voltage locally here in this part of Charleston without burdening Dominion's transmission lines at all. So I feel like we are providing a service by having these panels, a service at our own expense that benefits Dominion and Dominion to other customers, and we should not be charged for that. And that's the end of my testimony.
Thank you, sir. Questions from the parties for this witness? Question from the commission for this witness?
Yes.
Sir, I have a question for you. Are you familiar with the Office of Regulatory Staff's position in this matter?
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
The next witness
We're in recess until 10:45. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Public Service Commission of South Carolina's public hearing and docket number 2020-229E, Dominion Energy South Carolina's Incorporated, Solar Choice Metering Tariff. We're back from our recess. Let's take roll. In the hearing room, we have Commissioner Caston, Vice Chair Belzer, and Chairman Williams. Joining us virtually, we have Commissioners Powers, Williams, and Thomas. Please call the next witness.
Our next witness is Cassandra Fralix.
Ms. Fralix, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to ask you several questions if you would please respond. Please state your name for the commission.
It's Cassandra Maud Fralix.
Your street name and your town, please.
1038 Corley Mill Road in Lexington, South Carolina.
And are you a Dominion customer?
Yes, I am.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I have solar panels. They are not on my roof because I have a hip roof and they wouldn't fit. I actually have, they're located on post.
Gotcha. Okay, you'll have 3 minutes for your testimony and you may begin at your convenience.
The key word in the goal under the PSC mission statement to seek to ensure that within a more competitive utility environment that core and captive customers with little market power are not unduly burdened with the cost of competition and are provided appropriate service and service options is that word burdened. The public and the community will not be served if you allow Dominion to add a tariff to those wanting solar panels. What will the public be getting for the $750 charge? Nothing. A business has something, a product or a service that they sell, and this tariff is unfair and discriminatory. Dominion, as a monopoly, wants to add this discriminatory tax because they are not making as much money off of people who are utilizing solar. Charging a tariff is another way of allowing Dominion to compound revenue by manipulating the system. They already do this in many ways, like with surcharges. The water company doesn't charge people with a well an extra cost. Why should Dominion charge for power that solar panel owners get from the sun? The company is focused on increasing revenue for shareholders and not a forward-thinking approach on the future and how the climate problem is and will affect the environment and life on this planet should enter in your decision to approve the tariff. Dominion should support the pursuit of solar energy. This tariff will make it cost prohibitive for a working class to lower their utility costs. Wealthy individuals are not going to be concerned with the $750 fee for the average person trying to break even or make a few dollars from the sun. The tariff will have a direct impact. Solar panels are expensive, and the homeowner will find this a punitive fee when trying to justify the value over the 10 years that it will probably take to pay off the panels. They will be looking at this tariff as a $7,500 cost added to the cost of the panels. My husband and I decided to invest in solar panels in 2010 because of our concern for the environment and our understanding that fossil fuels were directly impacting it. It is very likely that Dominion, like other companies that depend on fossil fuels, are in a declining market. A declining market requires the best skills in management because it requires ingenuity and the ability to focus on alternatives. It is not helpful to focus on just transferring the burden to their customers and continuing to go on the way things have been done for decades. If we buy electricity at the same rate as others, we're paying our fair share. If customers have solar panels, high-efficiency appliances, high levels of insulation, turn their thermostats down, or anything else that reduces what they pay the utility, their rate should not be increased for that. Dominion says that solar customers are using them to store energy like a battery, but it doesn't cost them anything except less income. It doesn't cost them anything except the reduction in what we are paying them. This is not different from asking for a surcharge from people who insulate their homes. It is not fair. If we do anything to reduce our payments to Dominion and you let Dominion charge us for it,
Ma'am?
You need to charge customers who
Ma'am?
add insulation, energy efficiency, or turn down their thermostats also.
Ma'am?
Those actions all do the same thing.
Well, help
They
me out.
reduce what they are forced to pay to Dominion. The law that PSC is there
Ms.
to uphold
Fralix?
does not give Dominion power to punish
Ms.
people who do
Fralix?
things that help the environment when it reduces
Ms. Fralix?
payments that Dominion thinks is their due. Yes.
Let's take a 10-minute recess. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back at the Public Service Commission in docket number 2020-229E, Dominion Energy of South Carolina Incorporated Solar Choice Metering Tariff. This is the virtual public hearing. We have reached the place for questions for Ms. Fralix. Are there any questions from the parties for Ms. Fralix? All right, any questions from the commissioners for Ms. Fralix? All right, Ms. Fralix, thanks for sharing your testimony with us today.
Thank you so much for listening to me.
You're welcome. And before you call the next witness, just want to remind everyone that's calling in to testify, we have a 3-minute limit. We have close to 300 people that are scheduled to testify. Looking at where we are now, we may be here late into the night, early morning tomorrow. So we definitely don't want to be rude to anyone, but we need to maintain the 3-minute rule to try to preserve some level of order. So I may call your name. One of the staff members may call your name. We don't want to interrupt you to be rude, but we need to maintain the 3-minute rule. So if you would adhere to that, we appreciate it. If not, then your call will be muted and we will go to questions for you. All right, call the next witness.
Gary Smith.
Mr. Smith, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Mr. Smith?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, we have a couple quick questions for you, Mr. Smith. If you would please state your name, your street name, and your town for us.
Sure. It's Gary Smith. Street is Halsey Street in downtown Charleston.
Excellent. And are you a Dominion customer?
Yes.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. You have 3 minutes for your testimony, which will begin now. You may continue.
Thank you. I'm just speaking today to urge the Commission to reject Dominion Energy's attempt to make a move that would have an incredibly dampening effect on an industry in our state that's just growing and starting to thrive, but still fragile. And we all know how much of an investment South Carolina has in a healthy energy future, how critical it is in our state because we're so vulnerable to sea level rise and the effects of fossil fuels being burned to create energy. And if it turns out from Dominion Energy's own witness testimony that the amounts of cost shift are so minuscule and are not even occurring now, would only be occurring in the future, of just $1.38 a month extra for non-solar customers and residential, and 28 cents a month for commercial small business commercial users, non-solar users of Dominion Energy. So for that small amount that's not even occurring now to create such a crippling effect on the solar energy industry in South Carolina would be devastating in our state. And if Dominion is going to be an energy partner in our state and play the role it's playing, it really needs to be a stakeholder in the healthy future of South Carolina, especially because of our vulnerability to sea level rise and the effects we're seeing that are so devastating already in Charleston and the entire Low Country.
Thank you for your testimony, sir. Questions for this witness?
Thank you very much.
No, sir, please don't hang up yet. Are there any questions for this witness from the parties? Questions from the commission? All right, sir, thank you for your testimony. Please have a great day.
Thank you. Appreciate your work.
The next witness is Nathan Moling.
Mr. Moling, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, at this point, we have a couple questions for you. If you would please state your name, your street name, and your town for us, please.
I am Nathan Moling at 1205 Brookstone Way, Somerville, South Carolina.
And Mr. Moling, are you a Dominion customer?
I'm billed through Berkeley Electric, but I believe that they.
And do you have rooftop solar panels on your home?
I do not. I'm in an apartment.
Okay, excellent. You have 3 minutes for your testimony. You may begin at your convenience. Thank you.
Okay. I guess I'd like to echo what I've heard from other people, that this tariff would make it very uneconomical for a person like me to get solar panels. It would make the return on investment very far out compared to what it would be without, and it would just make it very hard for me to justify getting solar other than the environmental benefits. I know the $19.95 per month just to have solar, that's a quarter of what I'm already paying without being a solar customer at all. And so that would just really make it very hard for me to justify the economics of getting solar right now, which I'd really like to do. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony. Questions from the parties?
Mr. Moling, this is Matt Gissendanner with Dominion Energy. I think I understood you to say that you get your electric service from Berkeley Electric. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so you understand that you are not a customer of Dominion Energy South Carolina. Is that correct?
Okay, I misunderstood that then.
Okay, and so the only question that I have is, could you please share with us, Dominion provided notice of this hearing to its customers, and I was just wondering, how did you find out about the hearing?
Could you repeat that? It was a little muffled.
Yeah, Dominion obviously provided notice to its customers, but only to its customers about this hearing. And I was just wondering if you could explain to us how you found out about this hearing.
I found out through a Facebook group that is concerned about these changes. And there's a possibility that I could move it into a house in a different part of the state that would use Dominion Energy, and because of that reasoning, that's why I wanted to put my 2 cents in.
And if you don't mind, could you share with us the name of that Facebook group?
I missed that. The name of what?
The name of the Facebook group through which you learned about the hearing.
It was the Charleston Tesla Owners Group.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Yep.
Any more questions from the parties? Commissioner questions? All right, sir, thank you so much for calling in. Please enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
The next witness is Wayne Westmoreland.
Mr. Westmoreland, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, we've got a couple questions for you. If you'd please state your name, your street name, and the name of your town.
My name is Wayne Westmoreland. I live in a new house I just bought on Waterway Island Drive, and I am a Dominion Energy customer.
Excellent. And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I am in the process of adding them to my new house.
All right. And you may have said, I didn't catch it. If so, the town in which you live?
It's Isle of Palms.
Excellent. Thank you. You have 3 minutes for your testimony. You may begin.
So I'm against the proposal. Given the size of the system I'm installing on my house, I estimate that the tariff proposal will increase my bill from Dominion Energy by over $1,500 a year. That cost is incurred even if I export 0 kilowatt hours back onto the grid. I don't understand the justification for that cost if I'm not putting it back onto the grid. What's it covering? The fact that I'm just buying less electricity? Electric customers are constantly encouraged from multiple sources, including Dominion Energy themselves via incentives, to reduce our electric usage. Home electricity generation via solar is a great way to do that. So why do we want to tax the systems to the point that we discourage them? We should be doing exactly the opposite. Should we add fees for non-solar customers that adjust their thermostats or buy a more efficient washing machine? No, we don't do that. And yet that's a perfect analogy if you discount the fact that not all customers are exporting and banking their power through net metering back to Dominion. Encouraging the early adopters of any new technology is the best way to bring the cost of those technologies down. And I bet if you polled the non-solar South Carolina customers currently without solar, you'd find that this is a benefit that they are interested in. And you've even had one earlier today saying she was a non-customer and she didn't mind paying a slightly better cost for an improved and cleaner grid. I understand that homes exporting energy back into the grid has an impact and that impact involves cost, but this proposal seems like a highball negotiating tactic, and I urge the Commission to study the solar subscription fee justification carefully. I'd like to see how my solar system is adding $1,500 a year to maintain the grid. It makes no sense to charge a fee for exporting energy that is independent of the amount of energy I actually export. We know the cost of energy systems are coming down. If the cost of net metering becomes too great, then I'm going to stop sharing my electricity altogether and just buy more battery systems and not use net metering at all. And then we lose the benefit of having a distributed energy generation and distribution system. The decisions that this Commission makes on the issue will have a huge impact on the future of our grid. Do we want that grid to include distributed consumer-owned solar, or do we not? The state legislature has made their position clear, and we are hearing today what Dominion customers think. Don't give Dominion an easy way out and just hand them money from my pocket. Make them deal with this disruptive new technology in a more constructive way that benefits the whole state. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, sir. Questions from this witness from the parties? Questions for this witness from the commissioners? Sir, a quick question for you. Are you familiar with the Office of Regulatory Staff's position in this case?
I've spent the last 2 hours doing nothing but reading about it. Yes, and I do have an opinion on the matter. I respect Mr. Brian Horry's opinion. He seems very well qualified. His analysis is too narrow to be given much weight for this proposal. He's assuming, his analysis is flawed in that he's assuming that all of my excess energy is being transferred to a Dominion and banked at some high cost and then being redelivered to me at a different time. If I buy energy storage systems for my house to a sufficient degree, I won't be exporting energy, and he's not factoring that into his analysis.
Thank you for sharing that, sir. Where did you read that information, sir?
Your docket management system, document management system.
Sir,
the
you are...
testimony of Mr. Lawyer and Mr. Horry to this commission.
Sir, it makes me feel good to know that you were taking advantage of our DMS. It's there to be transparent, so witnesses like you and other members of the general public, whether they're ratepayers or not, have an opportunity to see what's presented. So I thank you for being educated on the matter. Please share with your community that they have access as well.
Will do.
Thank you, sir. If there are no more questions for this witness, please call the next.
Ms. Carly Price.
Ms. Price, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Ms. Price.
Yes. Hi. Sorry about that. Yes.
All right, we have a couple questions for you. If you would please state your name, your street name, and your town.
Yes, my name is Carly Price, and I live at 1857 Dosher Avenue in Charleston, South Carolina.
All right, and are you a Dominion customer?
I am.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do not, but I work for SunPro Solar.
Okay, excellent.
Not yet. Let's put it that way. I don't have them yet.
Gotcha. Yes, ma'am. And just to confirm, you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Superb. All right, you have 3 minutes for your testimony, which begins now. Thank you.
Okay. So here's the deal. You know, I work for a solar company, and we already have a hard enough time trying to help people go solar, you know, because it's now become a lot more affordable for people. But if Dominion imparts additional fees and restrictions as far as solar is concerned, our fear is that it's going to not only hurt customers that would like to have their own system and generate power, but it's also going to hurt the solar industry. Further, you know, we believe that people should have the right to choose whether or not they want to invest in their own solar systems. And Dominion restricting that by imparting these large fees on solar systems is really going to hurt people being able to do that, which of course puts more pressure on the grid, which we already know is a little old and, you know, is going to need some help in the future. I think that we're seeing an increase in energy usage. We're also seeing a lot of electric cars come out, and the need for solar is ever increasing based on these things. The grid is not going to be able to keep up the way that it is now with all of these demands on electrical, you know, with electrical items. So that's really the fear that imparting fees is not going to help their situation themselves, but also not going to help homeowners. That's really all I have to say about it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Question. We also have several customers who have solar already who are going to be very upset by this.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions for this witness from the parties?
I don't have any questions.
Ma'am?
I mean, I guess maybe, like, what is the...
Ma'am?
Ms. Price, could you, this is Matt.
I apologize.
Ms. Price, this is Matt Gissner. I'm an attorney for Dominion Energy. Could you please confirm that address one more time for me?
The address is 1857 Dosher Avenue. It's Doscher Avenue in Charleston. It does sometimes come up on Google as North Charleston. Somebody told me at one point it was land that used to belong to North Charleston that was given to Charleston. But I live 2 blocks from Dominion's power plant.
Okay, and is that a temporary service account at this time?
Is it a temporary what?
Is it a temporary service account, a rate 9 commercial temporary service account? Is that correct?
Sorry, I'm having. You sound very far away, so I can hear the word temporary, but I can't hear the rest of the question.
Yes, I was just, you know, you said you were at 1857 Dosher Avenue. Is that a temporary?
Well, so I actually rent 1847, and I own 1857, which is almost done construction, and I will be moving into that house in probably about 2 weeks.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
All right. Just want to make sure you're still with us. Any more questions from the parties for this witness? Commissioner questions?
Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Caston?
Ms. Price, can you hear me okay?
Sorry?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Is it your understanding that the solar choice tariff, if adopted, will be the only choice that the rooftop customer would have?
I don't see that there's another option.
Well, as my understanding, and I think if you can get time to check the record, I believe that the proposal in the record reflects a buy all, sell all, or a offset in addition to
So
the.
here's the problem with the buy all, sell all. At the moment, if Dominion keeps a dollar for dollar net metering, that's lovely. If they choose to change that in the future, buy all, sell all does not work for people, because of what's happening is homeowners are selling, power at 1 or 2 cents a kilowatt. They've paid for a system that's not benefiting them if they still have to pay 13 cents a kilowatt or 12 cents a kilowatt. So if they're selling power to Dominion at 1 cent and they have to buy it from Dominion at 12 cents, that doesn't make a lot of financial sense for people to go solar.
Well, I'm not sure about those numbers. You would have to verify those in the record.
Right now what Dominion is doing is they are basically, as far as net metering is concerned, when people overproduce power, they send it back to Dominion, and Dominion holds on to it in the form of credit, and it's at the same rate at which they charge people. But Dominion is not, as far as I understand, Dominion has the ability to change that. They do not have to net meter at a 1-for-1 ratio. So if they go to buy all, sell all, and they change the rate at which they purchase power from homeowners, then homeowners can be really negatively affected, because they've essentially purchased this large system for their homes that they're not benefiting from, because they're not making money from Dominion, and they just sunk a whole bunch of money into something when they still have to buy power from Dominion at, the regular Dominion rate.
And did you understand the offset proposal?
No, I do. I also understand that there are a lot of people out there with systems that produce, 90 or 95% of their power. So if it goes to buy all, sell all, or they have to pay, $100 fee to have their systems, it wasn't worth it for them to purchase a system in the first place. If their average bill is $150 a month, and they're now being charged an additional $100 on top of that, and they went solar because they thought it was going to help save them money in the long run, and now it's costing them twice what it did to begin with, that doesn't make a lot of financial sense for them. So it seems that there's two options. And the buy all, sell all, there's no guarantee that Dominion will stay at a dollar for dollar net metering rate.
So am I understanding you to say that the existing 1-to-1 retail net energy metering rate is the only rate, in addition to the tax credits, that will work?
Well, it's not as far, it's not really, it doesn't have much to do with the tax credits. What happens right now is when people generate power, if they overproduce, and people that have 90% systems, think about it in layman's terms, their system is producing 90% of their power in, the 10 to 12 hours that the sun is up. So of course their systems are producing more power than they're using at that moment in time. So that extra power is sent back to Dominion. And Dominion is giving them a credit of about 12 cents a kilowatt, which is also what Dominion is charging them when they buy power. Well, Dominion has the right to change that. So if Dominion goes buy all, sell all, and they also change the rate, say they only give people a credit of 1 cent a kilowatt for every 1 cent that homeowner sends to them. If that happens, then the homeowners just invested this system to sell power to Dominion at 1 cent a kilowatt. It doesn't make financial sense for the homeowner to do that. So homeowners aren't going to buy solar systems. Then the other thing is, if they get charged a $100 fee for having solar, they're not going to buy, if their average bill is $100 or $200 a month, and they're having a $100 fee tacked onto their bill just for having a solar system, they're not going to buy solar systems either.
Okay, one final question. Did you gather that information, those rates, from the public record, or where did you get those numbers?
Those numbers are done on calculations, of my own bill and 100 or so different people's bills.
I'm talking about the 12 cent retail
the 12 cents
and the 1 cent,
No, yeah, so what I'm saying is right now, Dominion is giving people the same rate at which they charge them. It's my understanding that they're at liberty to change the rate when and if they feel like it. So if this does go into effect where either they can give somebody a fee or that person has to do a buy all, sell all, you know, if those are the only two options for a homeowner, and what Dominion does at that point is then change their rates at which they purchase the power back from homeowners, it could really hurt a homeowner. And there doesn't seem to be any guarantee that homeowners or that Dominion would stay at a 12-cent rate.
yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions for this witness? Quick question for you, ma'am. Are you familiar with the Office of Regulatory Staff's position in this case?
The Office of, sorry, what?
The Office of Regulatory Staff. Are you familiar with their position in this case?
I'm not.
Do you think it makes financial sense for a non-solar user to pay to cover the cost shift for solar users?
I think that well, to be fair, I mean, I think about how that is done. So how would it be that they would pay for the cost of that?
I'm sorry?
I mean, I mean, the fact is the net meter, like the meter itself, is paid for when it's installed. So why would there be costs being shoved off on other homeowners?
Okay. Thank you for your testimony, ma'am. If there are no more questions, please feel free to step down from the witness stand and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The next witness is Adrian Hillier.
Ms. Hillier, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, if you would please state your name for the commission.
Adrian Hillier.
And your street name and your town, please.
101 Wilson Place Court, Piedmont, South Carolina, 29673.
And are you a Dominion customer?
I am not.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do not, only because the HOA will not allow them here.
Okay. Excellent, Ms. Hillier. Thank you very much. You have 3 minutes for your testimony, and you may begin now.
I work with plenty of Dominion customers who go solar. We hear numerous things as far as I want to save money, I want to help with the environmental impact of all of the things that we do around the house. I want to make my place more self-reliant so that the grid doesn't have to support me. There's across the board a bunch of different reasons for people to be helping out with the environment, going solar. Whatever their options are, they like the fact that they have a good availability with Dominion as far as the buyback. Instead of trying to nix solar completely by doing the huge upgrade with this, I like what Santee Cooper does as far as regulating the solar companies that they do allow to work in their area. As far as having a trade ally, it becomes more of a partnership with the solar companies, knowing that good solar is going in. If you have issues with the solar company, we've had Santee Cooper reach out numerous times. We talk through it. We make sure that every customer that we have come through saying there's an issue is taken care of 100% on both sides. I think that that could be an option that is on the table instead of, spreading all of the solar charges or just completely jacking up the rates for everything.
Thank you for your testimony, ma'am. Questions from this witness from parties? Commissioner questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Attorney Gissendaner?
I was a little late getting my unmute button. Ms. Hillier, I believe you indicated you lived in Piedmont and were not a Dominion customer, but you worked with Dominion customers. Could you please tell us your place of employment and your title?
Viable Energy Solutions, and I am the operations manager.
And where is that located?
It is in Charleston.
Okay, but you live in Piedmont.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Commissioner questions? All right, ma'am. Thank you for your testimony. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You guys too. Good luck.
The next witness is James Ward.
Mr. Ward, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Mr. Ward, can you hear me?
Mr. Chairman, the next witness is Gianluca Siciliano.
Mr. Siciliano, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, we have a couple questions for you. If you would please state your name for the
Can you
commission.
be a little louder, please, because it's very noisy, the line.
Yes, can you hear me now, Mr. Siciliano?
Yeah, I hear a lot of background, but let's go ahead.
Okay, if you would please state your name, your street name, and your town.
Gianluca Siciliano, number 1, Hydrangea Way, Simpsonville, South Carolina, 29681.
And are you a customer of Dominion Energy, South Carolina?
Excuse me?
Are you a customer of Dominion?
No.
Okay. Do you have rooftop solar panels?
Yes.
All right. And the town in which you're located once more, please?
Can you repeat? It's very noisy.
Yes. What town do you live in?
Simpsonville.
All right. Excellent. You have 3 minutes for your testimony, which begins now. Thank you.
Okay, so I just go as a free? Okay, so basically I think that is an outrageous attempt from the electric company to penalize people that they have the freedom to choose how to generate or buy their energy. It's basically a monopoly all around. There are no choice for the customer. They have to obey to any type of charges they get. And when the people go solar, they make an investment, which is supposed to make a benefit to their life in terms of running expenses for the house. There is also an environmental side of it, which on one side we are worried about the planet, the climate change, and all these things. And we encourage people to become more friendly to the environmental. And on the other end, we penalize those that they take the initiative. And there is an industry that works on that clean energy, which is a solar energy, which employs a lot of people, and they make their living out of it. And people, potential customers, are already without information about the solar, because they don't really understand if it's true or not that they can generate power. I can assess for experience of having 2 solar panels on 2 different houses, of which one I sold it, and the new one I have gained a solar panel, and I can say by experience that solar panels, if they have the right dimension and size, they can cover the entire need of energy of the house. Say that, I don't think so. It is a wise idea, except for the greedy of the electric producer and their supremacy approach to the monopoly that they have as a benefit on their own market, to penalize those customers that they decided to go with the solar energy. I think that type of approach is against the development of the community and the development of this world that is looking into a better planet.
Thank you for your testimony, sir. Questions for this witness from the parties?
Mr. Siciliano, this is Matt Gissendanner, attorney for Dominion Energy.
Did you make a question?
I am Matt Gissendanner. I'm an attorney with Dominion Energy, South Carolina. I understood you to say that you lived in Simpsonville.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Mr. Siciliano, can you hear me now?
Yes, but as I said at the beginning, it's very noisy.
Okay, I'll try to speak clearly. I have one simple question, and I just wanted to understand how you were made aware of the hearing today.
Oh, because there are articles about it, and I know that South Carolina, especially as other states in the United States, definitely not California, for example, it's totally against the change. And they like the monopoly. They like the idea that whoever has his little empire is going to keep it and keep away whoever else try to develop it into a different and better solution.
And you understand that this proceeding is a proceeding that was mandated by the South Carolina General Assembly, correct?
I didn't hear you.
You understand that this proceeding was not initiated by Dominion Energy South Carolina, but that it is a proceeding that was in fact mandated by the South Carolina General Assembly, correct?
I understand, but I also understand that it is an abuse to penalize customer that made an investment into the solar energy. It is a nonsense. It is like the water company would penalize with a fixed amount of charge whoever can source water underground.
Thank you, Mr. Siciliano.
Like having your own garden with vegetables and getting the grocery stores around you charging because you grow your own apples.
Thank you, Mr. Siciliano.
Thank you.
All right. Questions from the commissioners? All right, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for testifying.
Thank you. Bye.
Our next witness is James Ward.
Mr. Ward, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, the commission has a few questions for you. If you would please state your name, your street name, and the town in which you live.
James Ward, 1230 Maxwell Street, North Charleston, South Carolina.
All right, and Mr. Ward, are you a Dominion customer?
Yes.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do not.
Okay. You have 3 minutes for your testimony, which begins now. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like to just contribute that I have worked with people across South Carolina, talked to many folks about their experience with energy and the monopoly. Most do not agree with having a monopoly. I don't know what public would. So just starting out there, that we just have a problem with not having access to an option of energy. Now that I believe South Carolina has less than 1% of solar connected with Dominion. And so you have to consider that the monopoly wants to decrease the ability to find a financial move towards solar. Is just that's just crazy. None of the constituents out there, if you talk to other than the one speaking today regarding this across the state, are going to agree with this whatsoever. Only Dominion, the monopoly, is wanting to further crush the ability for the state and all the community to go solar and own their own energy and become smarter individuals across the state. And if you look at all the other, I guess, the history of South Carolina on energy, there's been a lot of ball drops and a lot of corruption. And this now is just moving to the next wave. And I can in no way support a monopoly. I can only support the community and your constituents and the people who are actually saying they want to progress with the energy that they have available, which is sunlight, and they shouldn't be held back by a monopoly or any of the tentacles of the monopoly stretching into the government or the lobbyists or anyone else. But if you actually talk to the majority of the public, and again, not just the people speaking today, it'll be a very common consensus that it's already an ill-conceived paradigm that we're working with a monopoly. So having them squash anything further from stopping people from the independence of their own energy from sunlight and getting paid what they should, then it's just corruption. So that concludes my statement for the day.
Thank you, sir. Questions for this witness from the parties? Questions from the commissioners? Sir, are you familiar with the Office of Regulatory Staff's position in this case?
I am not.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your testimony. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
The next witness is Adam Benshoff.
Mr. Benshoff, if you would please solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, it is.
All right. We do have a few questions for you. If you would please state your name.
My name is Adam Benshaw.
Your street name, not the full address, and your town, please.
Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C.
And are you a Dominion customer?
Technically, yes. I am a Dominion, Virginia customer. I am not a Dominion, South Carolina customer. Just wanted to make that clear.
All right. And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do not.
All right. You have 3 minutes for your testimony, which begins now.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity to provide a brief public comment this morning. As I said, my name is Adam Benshoff. I am the Vice President of Regulatory Affairs at the Edison Electric Institute. We represent all of the nation's investor-owned electric companies, and our members, which include Dominion Energy and Duke Energy here in South Carolina, are committed to getting the energy we provide as clean as we can, as fast as we can, but in a safe, reliable, and affordable manner for all customers. Now, the intent of the original net metering policy we're discussing was to incentivize early adopters, not to create huge subsidies from one group of customers to another. Now that the cost of solar systems has come down significantly, there's simply no need for these continued subsidies, and states that have seen rapid growth in rooftop solar have had to develop new policies to reform net metering to provide continued certainty for the marketplace. Now, I've been in the energy industry for over 16 years, and I've been commenting on NEM proceedings for almost 6 now. And I have to say how pleased I am to see the informed conversation now, like the one occurring here in South Carolina. Compared to the early days of this transition, there is now a clear recognition of the need to protect customers from the unintended cost shift of retail net metering policy. As laid out in Act 62, and find a path that really works for all customers, those that want and can afford private solar, and those who can't. South Carolina is one of 14 states that are either in the process of transitioning away from retail NEM or have already adopted an alternative compensation mechanism. The reasons for this transition seem to vary by state, but there are some common threads. Commissions seem to clearly recognize now that retail net energy metering does unfairly compensate customer generators for the services that they provide, or more accurately, under the retail structure, for services they're not providing, like transmission and distribution service. They found that the incentives originally created now back in the early 80s to jumpstart this market are simply no longer needed due to the falling price of renewable energy, and that there's a substantial cost shift from NEM participating customers to non-participants. And I know the Commission staff has pointed this out in their testimony. This creates inequities between those that can afford rooftop solar and those who can't.
So there are a number of ways to transition from retail net metering, and we're seeing them implemented across the country. Now, the proposal before you appears consistent with the Act 62 directive to fairly allocate costs and benefits to eliminate that cost shift to the greatest extent possible. The solar choice tariffs mitigate cost shift, they permit consumption behind the meter without penalty, and they compensate customer generators for the benefits provided by their generation to the power system. Now, with the inclusion of things like a basic facility charge and subscription fee, it helps to ensure that all customers
Sir?
pay their fair share.
Your time is up. Thank you for your testimony. Please pause for questions. Questions from the parties?
Chairman Williams, Taylor Spear for Altered Energy.
Please proceed.
Sir, have you ever testified in a state utility commission proceeding?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever testified on behalf of the solar trade or environmental groups?
No, I have not.
That's it. Thank you.
Any more questions from the parties? Commissioner questions?
Good morning. I'm just curious how you heard about today's proceeding, Mr. Benshoff.
Yes. Sorry, Commissioner. Finish your question.
Yes. Could you tell me how you heard about today's proceeding?
Yeah, not a problem. I run our regulatory affairs shop at EEI, and we monitor net energy metering proceedings across the country. As the last witness asked the last person asked if I had ever testified before. I do go around the country. I've testified in Montana, Arizona, a few other places that we're looking to reform net metering. Dominion Energy is one of our members, and we had discussed with them if it would make sense for us to participate, and they said they thought it would be helpful. So we're here to share that national perspective.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Any more questions for this witness? Thank you for testifying, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
The next witness is Joshua Corrigan.
Mr. Corrigan, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, we have a couple of quick questions. If you would please state your name for the commission, please.
Joshua Corrigan.
And the name of your street and the name of your town?
Live Oak Avenue, Charleston, South Carolina.
And are you a Dominion customer?
Yes.
Finally, do you have rooftop solar panels?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Corrigan. You have 3 minutes for your testimony, which begins now.
Thank you so much. I want to thank the Commission for allowing the opportunity to say just a few words from a perspective of a new homeowner in the Charleston area. I'm a small business owner, and I don't have a lot of prepared remarks to say, except just that a comment that we do have a very small solar array on the roof of our home that we built in about a little over a year ago. And after reviewing the proposed rate changes that may go into place as a result of this, I just wanted to speak out from our perspective that it would substantially impact the value, frankly, for a small user like myself of having solar panels to begin with. Again, we generate enough power from our small array of panels to supplement the power usage that we normally would have as a household of just three of us. And the proposed monthly, as I understand them, additional fees that would be in place would come close to wiping out a very large percentage of that benefit that we get from those panels and the investment that we made. And there's also sort of a regressive sense that I've picked up on to this proposal, and I understand that there are maybe costs that Dominion is trying to recuperate. I can appreciate the reasons behind that. As a business owner, I understand that the reason why pricing might need to be adjusted, but it seems regressive in the sense that it's really pulling
money away from what we need to do as a nation moving forward with respect to climate change, with respect to affordable energy for small customers like ourselves to be able to be a part of a solution to the issues of climate change. And so there's a regressive nature to this sort of proposed hike of the taxes that we would have to pay or fees related to having solar panels on our homes. So that's really what I had to say. I don't have a lot to in addition to that to comment on. I just wanted to have my voice heard as just a representative of the Charleston area with a small set of solar panels who's discouraged by what I've been hearing about the proposals.
Thank you, sir. Questions from the parties for this witness? Questions from commissioners? Sir, thank you for your testimony. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
The next witness is Rich Friedberg.
Mr. Friedberg, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
We have a couple questions for you, sir. Please state your name.
My name is Richard Friedberg.
And the name of your street and name of your town, please.
I live on Bridgetown Pass in Mount Pleasant in the Charleston area.
All right. And are you a Dominion customer?
I am.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. You have 3 minutes for your testimony, which begins now.
Great. Thank you. And I appreciate the time today to talk to you on a very important topic. Certainly in times of rising energy costs and situations of rolling blackouts that we've seen in other states, right? It's an imperative and in the public interest to ensure that we are encouraging diverse energy sources across the spectrum to support the grid. So I wanted to touch on a couple points related to the proposed Dominion rate increases. So the first is, just tied to the overall public interest, right? So these fees, I think, go beyond the level of reasonability to the level of being a bit outrageous and would likely collapse the overall solar market in the South Carolina area. So I personally believe that individuals should have the right to offset energy production in their own homes, and that's certainly in everyone's best interest to lessen the load on the power grid, right? Particularly in an area like South Carolina, where in the heat of summer we're putting the grid under significant pressure, and consumer solar panels will certainly help lessen that load. Second is the rate structure itself. So I certainly get Dominion's in their right to adjust their current model. Right? I don't expect consumers to be compensated one for one for kilowatt hours that they produce. But that said, things like the subscription fee in this model and ties that aren't related to consumption don't seem to make sense. So I think there's a parallel here to think about, a garden in one's backyard, right? If I start growing vegetables in my garden, the grocery store isn't charging me because I have a garden, right? And that's exactly what the subscription fee is here, right? So in my case, I'd be looking at over $1,000 a year just for a reasonable size set of solar panels on my roof. So I certainly get the need for Dominion to recoup costs, and I'd be supportive of some sort of reasonable fee around the export, right? It's not fair to be compensated one for one, right? If I were to sell those same vegetables back to the grocery store, they wouldn't be giving me a credit equivalent to exactly what they would be selling them for. But I think we've got to find a reasonable balance here that supports the very small cost that Dominion may have to hook up solar customers and balance the kind of export fee, but in a way that is reasonable and doesn't absolutely cripple the South Carolina solar industry. Right? We certainly need to focus on diverse, independent energy sources and make sure that we're tackling systemic risk that is in the public's best interest. That is all I had in terms of remarks.
Thank you, sir. Questions from the parties for this witness?
Mr. Friedberg, this is Matt Gissendanner with Dominion Energy. I noticed that you used a reference, you kind of tried to draw a comparison between a a garden, and the grocery store doesn't charge you for growing your own vegetables, I believe was your example. And you're about I think the third or fourth person to use that example for us this morning. But you would agree with me that in that example, when you are growing your own vegetables for your consumption, you are not, if you grow too much one day, you are not sending those vegetables to the grocery store for them to store for you on their system and then provide back to you as a bank, are you?
Yes, I do agree. I think, an important, factor of the analogy, and tying back to my previous point, right, that gets to the export fee, right? Certainly don't expect Dominion to store my excess energy at a, 1-for-1 rate and credit in the current model, right? I think adjustments there would be reasonable, and your point is very valid. So I think in that vein, right, adjusting that export rate and the net metering credit rate would certainly make sense. But my point with that analogy was around the subscription fee and the proposed monthly fees for simply having the panels, regardless of consumption or level of production.
Thank you, Mr. Friedberg.
Commissioner questions. Sir, a couple of questions for you.
Chairman, I'm sorry.
I'll be quick, Commissioner Caston. The analogy on the garden, where did you hear that analogy? Or is that an original analogy?
So it's one I had kind of thought of as I was trying to draw comparisons. It was also discussed in a local group for Tesla car owners.
Okay. Interesting. Are you familiar with the Office of Regulatory Staff?
I am not.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Caston.
Mr. Friedberg, I think the testimony, if you've listened to the past testimony, it talks about the solar choice tariff that Dominion proposes and a buy all, sell all, and an offset. Are you familiar with those?
So I'm familiar with the proposal. I'm not sure if I'm matching on those exact terms. When I was reviewing, I saw the kind of structure of the monthly subscription fees based on the size of a solar install independent of consumption, and then adjustments to the export rate itself.
And I don't want to say that I'll say it exactly right, so I would encourage you to look at, I guess, the record. But as I understand the offset, you would use solar energy the customer produces, whatever the rooftop solar produces you use, and whatever electricity you need, you buy at retail. And I think the buy all, sell all is you sell it all at the avoided rate and buy it at the retail rate, what you need. I believe that is correct, but verify all that. But as far as your analogy with the vegetable garden, I thought that was very interesting too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you for your testimony today. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Next witness, please.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too, sir.
The next witness is Brandon Hudson.
Mr. Hudson, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
All right, we have a couple questions for you. If you would please state your name, the name of your street, not your full address, and your town, please.
Sure. My name is Brandon Hudson. I live on West Dolphin Street in North Charleston, South Carolina.
Mr. Hudson, are you a customer of Dominion Energy South Carolina?
I am.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do.
All right, thank you. You may begin your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Hi. So the previous speaker touched on all of the points that I wanted to cover. The only thing that I have to add is for me, a change the proposed change would eliminate all of it would offset completely my solar. So I would actually pay more, significantly more, under the proposal than I do now, and possibly more than I even paid prior to having solar panels installed.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony. Any questions from this witness from the parties? Any questions? I'm sorry?
Mr. Hudson, this is Matt Gissendanner with Dominion Energy South Carolina. Am I correct that you installed your solar panels in early 2018?
That is correct.
May I ask who installed those panels?
My panels were installed by a local installer.
Who is that?
It was Palmetto Solar.
Okay, thank you. And did they inform you at the time that they installed your panels in 2018 that the current net energy metering structure was subject to change, but that the current rates were good until December 31st of 2025, pursuant to the commission order?
Yeah, that was discussed, and I guess as I said, I agree with the previous speaker. Like I do understand that the net metering does need a change. It's not fair for us to sell and buy at 1-to-1, but the additional fees for owning solar panels and then the additional fee per kilowatt of the system, that's what's costing me significantly in this. So a change to net metering I would support if it made solar more viable, but the other fees seem unnecessary and excessive.
And but you would also understand that the subscription fee is just one part of Dominion Energy's proposal, and you would agree that it would be unfair to single out just one element of a proposal without considering the impact of the entire proposal. Would you not agree with that?
I would not agree with that.
Okay. Thank you for your testimony.
All right, parties, any more questions for this witness? Commissioners, questions for this witness? Sir, thank you for calling in and testifying. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
The next witness is Ms. Doris Fletcher.
Ms. Fletcher, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, hold on, okay?
Ms. Fletcher, we're going to swear you in. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, it will be.
All right, if we can get your response to a few questions, please. Please state your name, the name of your...
Doris A. Fletcher.
All right, and your street name and town, please.
1305 Adkins Circle, West Columbia, South Carolina.
Ms. Fletcher, are you a Dominion customer?
I didn't understand you.
I'm sorry, are you a customer of Dominion Energy South Carolina?
Yes, I am, and I'm sorry.
Okay, and do you have rooftop solar panels?
I don't have them. I don't want anything to do with solar because we can't trust this company that's been brought in here. They're nothing but thieves and liars. I've been to those meetings and watched them till I was literally sick. They're not to be trusted.
Ms. Fletcher, you have 3 minutes for testimony. If you'd like to begin at your convenience, you may do so.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Williams, I don't have solar. I live in an old mobile home. I can't put it on my house. I can't put it in the yard because I don't have money like everybody here. I don't have anything, and every time we turn around, that company is robbing us, and nobody sees it. There are many people here like me. Nobody has money but the commissioners and the legislators and this company. It's not right, Mr. Williams. Nobody down there can talk to us, and y'all make loads of money, so you don't understand people that only get $1,000 a month. Sick at that. And I'm not the only one, Mr. Williams. I wish I could come down there, but I don't even have a car now. I want you to take care of Dominion because they're going to take care of you all, and they're going to take care of our politicians because I've been in all those meetings and come home sick as a dog. My family telling me, don't go down there because we're not going to take care of you. But I was down there for me and other people that couldn't come down there. I want y'all to put all this on tape because those people don't really care. It's never enough for them.
Ms. Fletcher, thank you for your testimony. I'm going to open up the floor for questions for you. Are you willing to take some questions?
I will try. I'm so upset.
All right. Questions from the parties? Questions from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Thomas.
Go ahead, sir.
Ms. Fletcher, appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us today. You sound like a real customer, and we really haven't heard much from those people today. And that was the purpose of why we're here, is to hear from just real regular customers. And I don't really have a question for you. I just want to say thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, listen, I thank all of you all for wasting your time to come down there to make them happy because you're not going to make them happy. I had people tell me they came down here from Virginia and talked to us in the bottom of that state house up and said we are not to believe them and not trust them. And they go upstairs to the legislators and they gave them everything they wanted. I was down there with a few more people. People tell me, Miss Fletcher, it's no use in going down there. You're going to get sick. I said, I don't care. If I can stand up, I'll be there for me and all these people that don't have the money, that's got all the money. And it's not fair. We pay you all a lot of money to come down there to listen to us, but what is it for? Have those people from Virginia to come back down and talk. People can't, they don't even have money to come up there. They're sick. But it doesn't matter. I've been down there, Mr. Williams knows me, and I was down on my oxygen, and I couldn't walk, and on a walker. But that didn't matter. But you know what? God sees and knows everything, and I believe he will take care of all of these people that are robbing us and raping us, because nobody cares. I saw one of the commissioners walk out on a walker. I didn't like that, but I was grateful so they'll know what it's like trying to get around on a walker. It's not fun. It's very, it's just depriving us for anything. I want y'all to know I'm very sick, or I would be there. I would walk down there, but I can't.
Well, thank you for telling us what you think. I appreciate it.
Well, I want to thank you for your time, and y'all have a blessed day.
You do the same.
Thank you. One day I'll get down there and get to meet all those new people. Mr. Williams, you take care of them.
I will. I'll do my best. I can't wait to see you again.
Thank you, darling.
All right.
The next witness is Chris Marquez.
Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Mr. Marquez, if you would please state your name, your street name, and your town.
Yes. Name is Chris Marquez. I live at 41 Morgan's Cove, Isle of Palms 29451.
And are you a Dominion customer?
Yes, we are Dominion customers.
Okay. And do you have rooftop solar panels on your home?
Yes, we do have rooftop solar panels on our home.
All right. Mr. Marquez, you have 3 minutes for your testimony, which begins now. Thank you.
Okay. These proposals have nothing to do with anybody's solar panels. It's about control, fear, and change. Dominion is intent on a unilateral distribution of energy and the illogical division of people, creating classes of customers based on one energy product. Break this down for what it is, efficiency and potential. If you follow this path by removing the word solar from the conversation, what is unfairly being pushed is an agenda
of those who use less and those who could use more, and that is not the same thing. If you follow the greater logic here, what you find is that Dominion's idea of energy efficiency and cost shift is a farce. Why would they isolate energy and class of customers to just one product? Why would they not also propose fees on those customers who place light bulbs with LEDs and customers who install variable speed HVACs or new high efficiency windows? What about homes that are tightly efficient in insulation? These are all physical products that reduce energy and lower individual bills. And what about a customer with a 400 amp service? Shouldn't they be charged 4 times the flat rate fee of a customer with 100 amp service, even though they may never turn the power on? Because all the same infrastructure needs to be in place and maintained for the home that could use 400 amp service, even if they don't. So while these customers could use more energy, they don't. The conversation and logic stops only at solar customers. Dominion would like you to increase rates based on efficiency and potential and not real electric use. So what is this really about? This is not about today, the tiny 1% of customers that have solar. This is about Dominion destroying the opportunity for another 99% of their customers to consider solar in the future. This monopoly is systematically removing future choice for customers not yet aware their future holds an alternative energy solution. Finally, how about Dominion operate like most other businesses in the country and figure out how to innovate and do more with less? Change is inevitable. The irony here is what will happen, even if you do grant Dominion what they asked for, is that Dominion is not against solar. They're just against solar and having their customers have it. Now and in the future, Dominion will operate their own solar farms, charge their customer premium rates, and for what the same customers could have generated themselves at their own cost and their own maintenance burden. What is further ironic is that as Dominion moves forward toward renewables, I doubt the coal industry will be able to come to you and ask for a raise in prices on coals because Dominion has found an alternative choice in solar. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, sir. Questions from the parties? Questions from commissioners? Sir, have you ever heard of the Office of Regulatory Staff?
I am vaguely familiar with it.
Are you familiar with their position in this case?
I'm familiar with their position on a general rate increase, which seems minor. I am not familiar or could not find any of their position on the specific topics regarding net metering, flat fee based, and size, solar size based fees. So those three aspects, no, I could not find anything on their position, no.
Okay. Thank you very much for your testimony, sir. Any other questions for this witness? Nope. Sir, have a good day.
All right, thank you.
Next witness.
The next witness is Barbara Halloran.
Ms. Halloran, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
We have a couple of quick questions for you. If you would please state your name for the commission.
It's Barbara Halloran.
Ms. Halloran, if you would please tell the commission your street name, not your full address, and the town in which you live.
I live on Song Sparrow Way in Somerville, South Carolina.
Thank you, ma'am. And are you a Dominion customer?
I am.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do not.
All right, that's it. Thank you. And you have 3 minutes for your testimony, which begins now.
I am not 100% sure exactly what what the testimony is supposed to be about. Could you refresh me first quickly?
The testimony is regarding your feelings on docket number 2020-229E, Dominion Energy of South Carolina's Solar Choice Metering Tariff.
And this has to do with solar panel people getting rebates or whatever from even having solar panels. Is that what it's about?
That's a part of it.
And what's the other part of it?
Well, it's pretty lengthy, but generally speaking,
shorten it just as much as you can, please.
Well, the General Assembly passed Act 62, which requires the commission to create a new solar choice metering tariff or a successor tariff. And we had a case before the commission where Dominion Energy South Carolina, solar interveners, and the Office of Regulatory Staff gave their positions on what's the best option for the commission. That hearing lasted about 6 days, very exhaustive, and it would be impossible for me to give you a summary from the bench.
All that I have to say is that Dominion, I believe, was in cahoots with South Carolina Electric and Gas and defrauding the public about it. I hope that they don't pull this again regarding this issue.
Okay. Questions for this witness from the parties?
Yeah. I said I hope that the Regulatory Commission has the interest of the ratepayers at heart instead of the interest of Dominion.
All right. So I'm going to ask the parties if they have any questions for you, ma'am. Are you willing to take questions?
Sure.
Questions for this witness from the parties? Questions from the commissioners? All right, ma'am. No one has any questions for you. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you. Please.
Next witness. Those of you watching live, we're making contact with our next witness.
The next witness is Steve Gilbert.
Gilbert, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Mr. Gilbert?
Mr. Gilbert, can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Gilbert. Yes, I can hear you now. Hold, please.
I can hardly hear you. Okay.
Now can you hear me?
Mr. Gilbert, can you hear me?
Thank you.
Steve Gilbert, you can hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank
Superb.
you.
All right, we're going to swear you in. Please, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, we have a couple preliminary questions. If you would please state your name, the name of your street, and your town, please.
Yes, Steve Gilbert. My street is Oyster Point Row in the city of Charleston.
Yes, sir, thank you. And are you a Dominion customer?
Yes, I am.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do not.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gilbert. You have 3 minutes to give your testimony, and that begins now.
Okay. Hello, and thank you for this opportunity to comment. I am a customer of Dominion Energy and strongly oppose Dominion's recent proposal for the net metering program. I ask the Commission to consider my comments in opposition to Dominion's proposal in making your decision in this case. Firstly, as a scientist, I'm a strong proponent of the need for us to quickly shift from fossil fuels to clean energy in order to avoid the worst effects of climate change. We've witnessed just the beginning of effects that were disastrous in their own right, and things will only get worse as climate change grows. Reduction of greenhouse gases is the number one thing we can do in a timely manner to preclude devastating times for our kids and grandkids, and solar energy is a big part of this cure. Dominion Energy's proposal would increase fees and devalue solar so much that it penalizes existing customers who have invested in rooftop solar. It also would basically kill a much-needed rooftop solar industry that provides jobs and incentives to make the needed conversion to clean energy and directly contradicts several tenets of the thrust of the Energy Freedom Act.
While rooftop solar is growing in communities throughout the nation, Dominion seeks to destroy this essential element of coping with climate change in South Carolina, claiming a cost shift to non-solar customers. However, you've already heard testimony that such a cost shift doesn't currently exist, and if it does in the future, it will be a nominal amount of about $1.38 a month. I appreciate the PSC's efforts thus far in protecting the interests of ratepayers. I strongly believe that providing customers access to rooftop solar in a fair market for the growing rooftop solar industry are in the best interest of Dominion customers and South Carolina residents and enable us to play an active role in the rollback of greenhouse gases. I ask the Commission to join the climate change train and deny Dominion's proposal and require establishment of a rooftop solar program that has fair and reasonable fees, compensation for solar producers, and valuation of solar energy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony. Questions from the parties? Questions from the commission? All right, sir, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for the testimony.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.
Next witness, please.
Our next witness is Mike Fernie.
Mr. Fernie, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Excellent. We have a couple quick questions for you, sir. If you'd please state your name, the name of your street, not your full address, and the town in which you live.
Mike Fernie, F-E-R-N-E-Y. I'm on Woods Edge Court in Greenville, South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Fernie. And are you a Dominion customer?
No, I am not.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
No, I do not.
All right, thank you, sir. You have 3 minutes for your testimony, and that begins now.
Thank you. I am not in favor of the proposal. I'm concerned that it's going to disrupt the market for solar. Personally, I'm interested in bringing on board solar, but I'm also more broadly interested in seeing our state use solar more widely. I'm concerned that other electric companies like the one I work with, Lawrence Electric Co-op, and others would follow suit and put tariffs in place that would make it more costly. It would, extend the payback period, make it a lot longer for us to achieve break even, and just in general discourage solar. So that's my concern, and that's why I'm opposed to it.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony. Questions from the parties? Questions from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, this is Matt Gitzenenter with Dominion Energy. I had a couple of questions.
Please proceed.
Mr. Fernie, I believe you indicated that you lived in Greenville and you're not a customer of Dominion Energy South Carolina. How did you hear about today's proceeding?
I heard about today's hearing through a climate activism group I'm a part of, Climate Reality.
Okay, thank you. And I also noticed that you filed a protest or comment letter on the commission's website. It appears sometime around March 17th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And that letter appears to be a form letter in that there are several other letters of letters of protest that are, in fact, verbatim the same as your letter. Was that letter also provided to you by the Climate Reality group?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Commissioner questions? Sir, there are no more questions for you. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, the next witness is Mr. Armand Turner.
Mr. Turner, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
That's correct.
Excellent. Mr. Turner, we've got a couple questions for you. If you would please state your name for the commission.
It is Armand A. Turner. That's spelled A-R-M-O-N-D, middle initial A, last name is Turner, T-U-R-N-E-R.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And what is the name of your street and the name of your town?
Okay, I've got extremely bad hearing because I'm 77 years old. I live in Columbia, South Carolina. Did you ask for a street?
Just the street name. Yes, sir.
Hunt Club Road.
Excellent. Thank you. And are you a Dominion customer, Mr. Turner?
Yes, I am.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do not.
Okay, great. You have 3 minutes for your testimony. You may continue at your convenience.
Okay. I have attempted to find out about getting some rooftop solar panels, and I was told, I've been told different things by different companies. One of them said the maximum size that we're allowed to put on your house equates to 80% of your kilowatt usage from the previous year. Is that true? Hello?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, in this format, we are not allowed to answer questions. We're only allowed to ask questions. But I would say the Office of Regulatory Staff may be able to help you out.
Well, in short, I would like to have solar on my house. I came to this state from another state where I was builder. I'm very interested in solar. The previous year's usage in my house does not reflect potential usage in the future. I cannot imagine anything worse than telling someone that you cannot have a larger set of panels on your house to get more kilowatt hours. The excuse that was given was that it was because you effectively are using the Dominion as a place to hold. In other words, they don't want you selling power back to Dominion. And considering the worldwide situation, the need for improvements in energy, we've got to put up as much solar as we can, as fast as we can, even if 5 years down the road, there's an improvement in the type of panels and stuff like that. Every day that we wait is another day that we're putting carbon products in our atmosphere. I want to mention another factor, which is a big problem that I have had with Dominion. Specifically, I was a landlord. I had a bill at property 3816 Paget Road. I had a squatter in that property. This is during the time when SCE&G was in charge. I called SCE&G and reported to them multiple times that there was a squatter in the property and he was using my electricity for his own use. They refused to send someone out and to solve it. The excuse was, we're not allowed to get between a landlord and tenant. And I said, well, I can prove to you he's not a tenant. He doesn't have a lease, etc. Eventually, the tenant moved out once I got the judge to point out that he was, magic words, tenant at will. In other words, he was a squatter who had been let in the property for 10 days, and he stayed for almost a year.
Sir?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Your time for testifying has expired. I'm going to allow for questions from the parties and from the commissioners. Questions from the parties. Question?
Is that me?
No, sir. Wait 1 second. Question from the parties. Question from the commission. Sir, thank you so much for calling in. No one has any questions for you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
The next witness is Ori Austin Boss.
Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Mr. Boss, if you would please state your name, your street name, and town for the commission.
Yeah, my name is Ori Boss,
I'm on Amber Hill Way in Charleston.
All right. Mr. Boss, are you a Dominion customer?
I am.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do.
All right. Great. You have 3 minutes for your testimony. That begins now.
Yeah, Section 584105 of the Energy Freedom Act specifically instructs you, the Public Service Commission, by stating the Commission is directed to address all renewable energy issues in a fair and balanced manner, considering the cost and benefits to all customers of all programs and tariffs that relate to renewable energy and energy storage. Both as part of the utility's power system and as direct investments by customers for their own energy needs and renewable goals. The tariff by Dominion is neither fair nor balanced because the imposed fees will make it more expensive to be a solar producer than to not. In addition to violating our rights, this tariff will also be eliminating access for financially disadvantaged community members for utilizing the cost-saving aspect of switching to a renewable energy option. The Energy Freedom Act also says every customer of a utility program has a right to a rate schedule that is reasonable, that is a reasonable opportunity to employ such energy and cost-saving measures in order to reduce consumption of electricity from electrical utilities grid and to reduce electrical utility costs. Reasonable should be defined and can be defined as appropriate or fair. If reasonable opportunity must exist, and this proposed tariff is not reasonable by any means, the tariff will add roughly $650 in mandated solar fees to residential customers who want to use solar. The solar choice tariff proposed is an attempt by a publicly traded company to tell us how and where we must get our energy. It is an attempt for a monopoly to take control of our right of the sun and discourage the use of a resource that cannot and should not be owned by any one person or company. It is our right to use solar energy, and it's the public utility's responsibility to allow us this freedom without imposing cost-prohibitive measures against us for doing so. To keep their monopoly on energy and energy production, Dominion is proposing a tariff on all solar customers. This tariff will make it more expensive to be a solar-producing customer than it would be to not. Dominion proposing this as a solar choice tariff as if they're really giving us a choice. Any portion of this tariff is unacceptable, and the PSC should realize that Dominion is trying to monopolize an energy source for themselves. Distributed energy is here and now, and it's not the state's responsibility to protect a publicly traded utility, but to ensure power generation is fair and reasonable for all South Carolinians. It's the utility's responsibility to adapt and navigate the future of energy generation, and that should not come in the form of tariffs on all customers. Lastly, my question from Matt at Dominion. You keep asking customers if storing energy on your grid is fair. I wasn't aware that Dominion Energy, South Carolina, is actively storing energy. So I don't know how that question is accurate or relevant. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony. Questions from the parties? Questions from commissioners? Sir, there are no questions for you. Thank you for calling in. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Our next witness is Casey Green.
Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Mr. Green, if we could have you state your name, the name of your street, and the name of your town, please.
Yes, my name is Casey Green. I'm at Tiger Street in Somerville.
All right. And are you a Dominion customer?
I am.
Do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do.
Okay, superb. You'll have 3 minutes for your testimony, and that begins now.
I want to first say I agree 100% with Mr. Boss, who was just before me. Right now, what they're proposing is unreasonable. The costs that they claim to have are de minimis. There's equipment in my yard right now. I have the utility yard with the box out front. When I'm producing the most power, it comes straight off my roof, boom, straight into my neighbor's air conditioner unit because that's when the sun is up. So the costs that they are trying to recover, which, as Mr. Boss stated, they should not be recovering costs by the law, are unreasonable. And to charge per panel is ridiculous because folks like me, I have more panels than I have inverters, so I couldn't even put out all of the panels that I have And this is I understand adjustments, but this is not a reasonable adjustment. Maybe not 100% reimbursement, but as free individuals, we should be able to buy our own equipment, put it on our own roofs, and maintain it ourselves, and still be connected to the grid. If this gets unreasonable enough, we'll all just unplug, put our own batteries in, and then the utility will go out of business anyway because everybody lives unplugged with the reasonable rates. I see next year they'll probably come up and say, "Oh, your rates went up because of the solar customers," and that is also going to be unacceptable. So,
Sir, thank you for your testimony. Questions for this witness from the parties? Questions from commissioners? Sir, there are no questions for you. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for calling in.
The next witness is Mr. Court Wise Leader.
Do you solemnly affirm the
Yes,
testimony?
hi, my name's
Excuse me, we're going to swear you in really quickly, if you'd give me a second. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony
Sure.
you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
of course, absolutely.
Okay, great. We've got a couple follow-up questions for you. If you would please state your name, the name of your street, and the name of your town.
Court Weiss Leader. I'm a solar contractor, electrical contractor in 10 states, and one of them is South Carolina.
Okay, and are you a Dominion customer?
I am not a Dominion customer.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do not have rooftop solar panels. We install.
Great. That is all the questions we have for you at the moment. You may continue your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate the opportunity. We're in a growing field. Solar and batteries are one of the fastest growing industries. We've incrementally, substantially grown our employee base, W-2 employees. So this is a well-paying industry and grows the economy. By putting in place fees, tariffs for going solar, by altering the net metering policy to a wholesale versus a retail, is a domino effect in a negative fashion. The homeowner now has fees in place for going solar, which will reduce any possible savings that the homeowner is receiving from solar. It could also potentially slow solar growth down, which will in turn stop the employment growth of this industry. Okay, so 2 key facets. The third key is battery storage. There should be, as like Jacksonville Electric does, puts in a rebate in place, incentivizes customers to get batteries. In that case, it helps the utility in multiple ways because now you have storage during peak times that's releasing into the home and not drawing power from the grid during those peak times. So that means the utility, Dominion, would be using less power plants during those peak times if there was some type of incentive for batteries for commercial and residential. So we believe that by maintaining retail net metering, not putting fees in place to customers is A, the right thing to do, because they're trying to be energy independent. B, storage will become a bigger solution, whether there's a rebate in place like Jacksonville Electric or not. The more people want storage for backup in case the grid goes down, plus being able to use during peak times. And C, by not putting your tariffs and so forth in place, you'll be able to continue to help a growing industry continue to grow. An employment base where people are getting paid good W-2 wages, spending that money into the economy. So I think any type of fees you put in place is only going to hurt the customer, only going to hurt the industry, the community, less money being spent into the community. So I really would hope that Dominion says, you know what? Yes, let's have more people go solar. Let's incentivize battery storage and allow people to save and to grow the economy. That's it.
Thank you for your testimony, sir. Questions from the parties? Questions from commissioners? All right, there are no questions for you, sir. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for calling in and testifying.
Yep, thank you.
The next witness is Michael Byers.
Mr. Byers, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, the commission needs some information from you, please. If you'd please state your name, the name of your street, not your address, and the town in which you live.
It's Michael Byers, Bent Twig Lane in Charleston.
Excellent, thank you. And are you a Dominion customer?
Yes.
And do you have rooftop solar panels?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Byers, thank you. You'll have 3 minutes for your testimony. That begins now.
Thank you. I would like to remind the commission that Dominion's proposed tariff, which is exactly what it is and what they even call it, goes against the Energy Freedom Act of 2019. Electric utilities are prohibited from recovering lost revenues associated with customer generators who apply for customer generator programs. I made a significant capital investment in placing solar and storage batteries on my property. I upgraded my electrical system for my house along with this. And now this publicly traded monopoly is wanting to assess a tariff on me for using energy which they cannot sell to me. Dominion is not against solar. They continue to invest in solar farms with property owners and municipalities. This is not much different than going to the grocery store and the grocery store saying, we're going to charge you a monthly or weekly fee because you're growing some vegetables in your garden at home, and we're losing revenue on that. This is the bottom line. Dominion knew exactly what they were getting into when they took over from SE&G and that whole nuclear fiasco. I have no choice in where I get my electricity from a utility company. I can either buy it from Dominion or I can get it from the sun. I've made my investment, and now they want to reappropriate my capital investment into their own pockets. And you should also keep in mind that this is very likely to have a big impact on the solar industry in this state. Commercial solar is dependent on a lot of other factors, and for that to be viable for these small businesses to invest in it, they can't be losing monthly fees to a utility company. The cost to me personally would be $234 a year plus $43.20 a month. That's coming out to almost $520 in fees just for the size of my solar system. So I'm looking at over $750 a month off the top before I use any service from this publicly traded monopoly.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony. Any questions from the parties? Parties for this witness. Questions?
Yeah, Mr. Byers, this is Matt Gissenander from Dominion Energy. Again, we've heard the example of the grocery store several times today. I'm just wondering, is the grocery store required by law to have vegetables for you all year long if you're unable to grow your own food?
I don't know that the grocery store is required by law to do anything.
Okay, thank you. And then also, I think you indicated that you just recently installed solar on your home in 2020. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was, you actually purchased your system from Mr. Boss, who
I did purchase,
testified
yes.
earlier. Okay. And did Mr. Boss inform you at the time that you installed your system in 2020 that the net metering rates were subject to change, but that the rate that you were taking service under was good until May 31st, 2029?
I'm sorry, I did not quite understand. There's a little bit of echoing, so I didn't quite get your last question there.
Yeah. When Mr. Boss sold you your system in 2020, did he inform you that under the Act 62 that the net metering rates were subject to change and that the current net metering rates would only be available to you until May 31st, 2029.
I was aware about the net metering rates.
Okay, so you were aware that they were subject to change, and you were also aware
The net metering rates, yes. I was not aware of any pending tariffs for me making a capital investment.
Okay, so you were so he did not inform you that the net metering rates were subject to change in 2029 for you.
The net metering rates, yes, but I don't think that the monthly subscription fee or tariff or however else it is that you propose to call it was that's a separate issue. It has nothing to do with net metering.
Understand. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner questions. Sir, are you familiar with the Office of Regulatory Staff?
I am not familiar with them, no.
Okay. And so you wouldn't be familiar with their proposal in this matter?
I have not seen that. No, I have not.
All right. Just out of curiosity, is your grocery store analogy, is that original or did you hear that somewhere?
No, that makes sense to me. That's what I thought.
I understand that. I'm asking you, did you come up with that on your own or did you hear it from somewhere?
No, I think I had that thought.
Okay, sounds good.
I've heard it previously, but no, I already had that thought.
All right, thank you so much.
I've heard it previously today, but no, that was not something that I'm just echoing.
Okay, thank you very much for your testimony, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Next witness.
Our next witness is Christopher Werner.
Mr. Werner, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, we have a couple follow-ups from the commission. If you would please state your name, the name of your street, not your full address, and the town in which you live.
My name is Chris Berner. I live on Gold Rush Court in Fort Mill, South Carolina.
Perfect, Mr. Berner. Thank you. And are you a Dominion customer?
I am not.
Okay. And do you have rooftop solar panels?
I just got HOA approval for my system.
Okay, great. You have 3 minutes for your testimony. That time begins now.
So the reason I called in today is I've been doing solar installations around the Carolinas for the last almost 10 years now. And, we've worked a lot with a lot of Dominion customers. There's tons of people that are Dominion customers that have gone solar. And, they've gone solar through net metering. They've signed up for financing that can be as long as 20 and 25 years. They did this based on the rate schedules and that they would, knowing that they would have it till at least 2029. And, by changing this, you just do an example here. If you purchase a 10 kilowatt system in Dominion territory and you're expecting to save a 10 kW, you probably save them about $120 to $130 a month on average over the course of a year. Now you go in and you look at this, the monthly fixed charge going up by about $10 for the monthly fee plus your subscription fee at $5.40 a kW. That's an additional $54 a month on top of the $10 a month extra charge. That's $64 a month, which right there is over half of the savings of the system. Then you go in and you look at any power that goes back to the grid only being at 6.7 cents, at 3.5 cents kilowatt hour. You're now taking away about 2/3 of the savings that these customers, your customers, have put up a significant financial investment to get. And now you're taking 2/3 of that away, and they have this payment that they've locked into based on understanding that they would have these savings at least till 2029. And now they're going to be stuck having to pay this monthly payment to the loan company that's going to be almost 3 times of what their savings are because of this rate schedule happening retroactively to people that were not expecting it. And I think that's incredibly disingenuous, and I don't see how anybody in the right mind could think that that's the right thing to do to your own existing customers. And going forward, we have a great solar industry that's built up in South Carolina.
This will cause companies like ours to have to stop doing business in those territories, stop doing installations in those territories. And, that's hurting jobs. Our company alone in the area, we have over 130 employees that are, working full time, have good paying jobs, full benefits. And, we would have to stop, employing people in those areas. The other thing is by doing a rate schedule like this, with how convoluted it is, it's extremely difficult for anybody to really, truly understand what the savings are, because you can't always know exactly at what time of day you're always using power and when it's going to get exported compared to used directly in your home. So this also comes into an issue where there might be a salesman out there that's trying to explain the savings to the customer and not get it right because of how convoluted it is. And you'll have people that end up signing up for solar, not realizing that the savings they're going to get are nothing like they were hoping for, because this rate schedule is not straightforward. It's really a trap to take and screw people over, and it's unfortunate.
Sir? Sir, your time for testifying has expired. Questions for this witness?
Mr. Werner, this is Matt Gissendinner from Dominion Energy. Do you understand that customers who are on the net meter were on the net metering tariff prior to the passage of Act 62 will continue to receive the existing rates until December 31st, 2025, and that customers who signed up for net metering after the passage of Act 62 but prior to June 1st of this year will continue to see the net metering rate that they are on until May 31st, 2029. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I mean, and obviously that does help, and that makes it a little bit better, but it's still not enough. They're not getting nearly enough time. This is they're putting in for an investment that's a 20-year investment, and they need more than just 5 years, or and for the newer customers they're getting the 8 years, but they're doing this as a 20-year investment, and I think that needs to be taken into account.
But you would also agree with me that they're making this investment knowing, or they should know, because their installer should have informed them that the rate was in fact subject to change, and that they could only count on the existing rates for the time that the commission order and that the law provided for.
Yeah, there's we put stuff in there to protect ourselves on it. The thing about our company is we do installations for third parties, so we aren't actually the sales. We are just the contractor doing the installation. We do our best to make sure that people understand as much as they can, and we have portions in our contract to show those different caveats. But again, I think that it should be something that's done to protect our solar industry. I think there's better ways for you guys to recoup, losses from having solar customers that are producing their own power instead of buying it. There's great things as far as like how solar is producing its best on sunny days when it's the hottest out and people are using their HVAC. That's helping crush demand at those times. I think that there could be incentives for batteries where the utility has access to those batteries so that solar customers can do their part by discharging power back to the grid when it's needed most to help reduce strain on the grid. And there's programs like that could be done. You could also be using the renewable credits, the renewable attributes, and reselling those to large energy users. I think that there's much better ways to recoup money from the people that are investing in solar than trying to gut the rate schedule that they signed up because of.
Mr. Werner, have you actually read the company's proposed tariff?
I apologize, I can't hear that.
Mr. Werner, have you actually read the company's proposed tariff?
I have read portions of it. I have not read the whole thing. I have some people that I work with that went through it and put together a bunch of high-level notes on it that I've gone through.
And would you understand that there is a time of use component in the company's proposed tariff, and that time of use component would actually incent storage, as you suggested needed to be incented?
It would, but I mean, I think that you're justifying storage with a stick instead of the carrot, and I think that there's a better way to justify it than the way that it's being done.
And finally, Mr. Werner, you indicated that you were not a customer. Would you mind telling us how you learned about today's proceeding?
Through an internal memo in our company.
And what company is that?
Titan Solar Power.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner, questions for this witness? Thank you, sir, for your testimony. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Next witness, please.
Mr. Chairman, the next witness is Xavier Vey.
Yes, hello. We're going to swear you in. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a couple quick questions for you. If you'd please state your name for the commission.
Xavier Vey.
Right, and the name of your street and the name of your town.
Harbor Court, TK.
Right, Mr. Vey, are you a Dominion customer?
I am not.
Okay, and do you have rooftop solar panels?
I do not, but I just got ARC approval in my neighborhood.
Okay, great. You have 3 minutes for your testimony. That time begins now.
Yeah, so I just wanted to start off with a recent poll conducted by Tusk, which is a conservative group founded by Barry Goldwater Jr. It found that 78% of South Carolina residents said they like to see more solar and wind power used in the state of South Carolina, and 92% opposed solar panel users paying extra fees to utilities for interconnection of the solar system on their home. In 2019, we had the South Carolina House unanimously voted for 110 to 0 for the net metering cap to be increased for Duke Energy customers. And that bill was rightfully signed into law by Governor McMaster as the South Carolina Energy Freedom Act, which is appropriately named in my eyes. Solar provides South Carolina residents an alternative to accessing power and a way to fix in their rate by essentially prepaying for their power up front. People have spent tens of thousands of dollars on solar equipment to offset their utility usage. And by imposing a tariff like this, it's going to significantly increase their ROI. Just doing the math, as Chris Berner mentioned earlier, 10 kW system roughly saves you about an average of $142 a month with these new fees. And with the sell-all option, you're looking at about $64 in charges and about a $50 a month savings from the solar, which will drastically increase the ROI, as I mentioned. This plan will absolutely kill the solar industry for Dominion customers, and this is not moving in the direction that America is trending right now, which is a more energy efficient future with the addition of solar energy to the grid. So.
All right, sir. Thank you for your testimony. Any questions from this witness, for this witness from the parties?
Mr. Vail, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. This is Matt Gissner with Dominion Energy. You referenced Mr. Werner. Do you work with Mr. Werner?
Yes, we work together.
Okay. And so did you also learn about this through the internal company memo at Titan Solar?
Yeah, I can hardly hear you.
Did you also learn about this through the internal memo at Titan Solar, this proceeding?
Yes, yep.
Okay, and then you also referenced the Energy Freedom Act as increasing the net metering cap in Duke Energy territory. Do you understand that this proceeding is called for under Act 62 and that it directs the company and the commission that the solar choice metering tariff should eliminate cost shift to the greatest extent practicable?
Yeah, it's very hard to hear you, sir.
Do you understand that under Act 62 that Act 62 is the reason that we're here? It mandated this proceeding, and that it also directed the commission to approve a solar choice metering tariff that eliminated cost shift to the greatest extent practicable.
Well, it's certainly not practical.
So you would say it is impractical to eliminate any cost shift. Is that your testimony?
I mean, there's a fee associated with the interconnection process and swapping the meter. You know, essentially, there's no Dominion Energy is not storing, solar power. It's essentially being used. You know, electricity is used by the shortest distance. It travels the shortest distance. So essentially, the neighbor would be using it. There's no storing of solar energy on Dominion's grid. So, if anything, it helps alleviate those high demands in the summertime, as was mentioned before during this call. It helps alleviate the stress on the grid when everybody's cranking their AC when it's 105 degrees outside. You know, by offsetting having the electricity having to travel from one central point.
You would also agree with me, though, that Dominion Energy must maintain its system so that it can supply you or your clients with power when those solar facilities are not operating at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning on an extremely cold winter morning. You would agree with me on that, would you not?
Right. Well, I mean, it's a give and take. You know, we're helping supply, your grid during the hottest days of, when the most sunshine. Meanwhile, we're utilizing your grid to power at night. That's something that, is certainly a technology that's progressing, which is storage technology, and we shall see how that works out in the future here.
Thank you.
All right. If there are no more questions from the parties, we will move to the commission. Commissioner questions for this witness? Hearing none, we're in recess until 2:30.